Chapter 3:18. Jing Xian knows that you possess the dustless flame. However, the pill that Jing Xian needs this time is a pill created by the pill domain's misty pill immortal. It can help immortal emperors form another original spirit avatar, Jing Xian said softly. The ethereal pill, celestial, had created a pill. Wang Kai frowned and looked at Niu Zhetian. He smiled indifferently and said, "Old Niu, do you have a pill that can help celestial emperors create another original soul?" Jing Xian was surprised. Lung Feng and Kinren glanced at each other. Even Bai He, who had grown up on the Sun Moon Island, looked at Niu Zhetian in a daze. "Pia Pia." Niu Zhetian snorted and said disdainfully, "That kind of pill doesn't exist. Celestial emperors can only create one original soul. That's the limit. If he can create a second original soul, I would like to see it." Niu Zhetian had never seen it before. Wang Kai immediately became more and more surprised and said with a surprised smile, "Since the so-called Misty Pill Immortal is so capable, could he be a family with the Li family?" After all, the Li clan was the #1 clan in the Pill region. However, when Jing Xian heard this, she gently shook her head and smiled faintly. He is not a member of the Li family. The ethereal pill immortal possesses an invisible flame and is unique in the Pill region. His mountain is called the Ethereal Mountain. Just like his original body, his whereabouts are unpredictable. He was the controller of the invisible fire. However, when Wang Kai saw Jing Xian's respectful appearance, he was extremely disdainful. He said rather indifferently, "He merely relied on the power of the invisible flame. If he appeared in front of me, he would definitely have nowhere to hide." Jing Xian and the others didn't refute him. After all, Wang Kai had the dustless fire. It was the best fire in the world. It could suppress all the other special fires. Even the ethereal pill celestial wouldn't want to see Wang Kai, let alone the ethereal pill celestial. That ethereal pill immortal will refine a second origin spirit pill every year. At the same time, he will also hold an ethereal lamp riddles and invite cultivators from various provinces to participate. The winner will naturally be fated to obtain the second origin spirit pill. I didn't expect it to come so early this year. Bai shook his head and sighed. Ethereal Lantern Festival? Wang Kai suddenly raised his eyebrows and said with a rather startled expression, "Do we have to guess the riddles to compete for the second essence spirit pill? Is there something wrong with the ethereal pill celestial's brain? How can he make such a pill?" When Lung Feng and the others heard these words, the corners of their mouths twitched slightly. In terms of being a weirdo, who in the world could compare to you? Who in the 6 prefectures and 1 island didn't know that Wang Kai, the prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, had been eating saint-level heaven-grade pills like candy? He chewed them and spat them out. He didn't even eat them. Rumor has it that the ethereal pill immortal has an eccentric temperament and likes to do strange things. However, the ethereal lamp mystery this time is not as simple as fighting for the second origin spirit pill. Jing Xian laughed softly. When Bai He heard this, he frowned. After pondering for a moment, he said, "Saintess Jing Xian is right. The second origin spirit pill is of utmost importance, but all the alchemists in the Li family and even the Pill domain will participate in this Lantern Festival. In addition to the cultivators from each province, if there are 1,000 people, then 800 will become the guards or servants of the alchemists." Hiss! Hearing this, Wang Kai sucked in a breath of cold air and said with a stunned expression, "Are alchemy cultivators that powerful? How can they be so arrogant?" Alchemists practice the fire Tao. Although they're not good at fighting, they are very good at refining pills. Moreover, other alchemists are thirsty for pills. It is reasonable for them to be guards or servants. Generally speaking, both sides are willing. However, there have been cases of forceful captives, said Bai He with a sigh. In other words, the alchemists are participating in the Ethereal Lantern Festival to fight for the second original soul pill. They also want to take the opportunity to take some servants back. This is interesting. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly, and he smiled indifferently. Since alchemy cultivators are so amazing, Then this young master will take in tens of thousands of them and order them around as servants. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the second grade Celestial King realm. Swoosh! Bai's expression immediately changed when he heard this. He hurriedly waved his hand and advised, "You can't do that. Now that the immortal martial cultivators have broken out of the seal, those pill cultivators have accumulated over a long period of time. Every one of them has powerful guards protecting them. It doesn't matter. My beautiful little Jingxian is a celestial emperor. Who is afraid of who? Moreover, if Ben Shao is angry, even the strongest person will have to kneel down and call him Master Kai, let alone a peak celestial emperor." Wang Kai said with a smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Such words caused Jingxian to shake her head slightly. Her eyes were filled with a helpless smile. On the other hand, Lung Feng and Can Rin chose to ignore it. It would be weird if Wang Kai was not boasting. Why, he was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He stood up and cupped his fists. "Brother Wang, I have something to do. I can't go with you. What do you have to do?" Ben Shao has not found the location of the 9 Revolutions Soul Return Elixir, and Gu Bingming left in a hurry. If you run away, who will Ben Shao look for? Wang Kai shrugged and interrupted him. Hearing this, Bai immediately fell back into his chair. His expression was extremely bitter as he smiled stiffly. Following Wang Kai, the dangers he encountered were simply too exciting, so exciting that he could die at any moment. If there is really such a Lantern Riddles convention, then the Leaf family. Kinrin licked his lips and laughed. Lung Feng said coldly, "We must go to the Ethereal Lantern Riddles convention." "Yes, it's just that big brother's corpse." Canron frowned as he rubbed his bald head with force. "It is still in the star Luo Sea. You can take it back halfway." Lung Feng said coldly. Hearing this, Wang Kai was stunned. He frowned and looked at them in confusion, asking, "What corpse?" It is rumored that meditation cultivators do not have their original physical bodies. After death, their souls will cultivate the underworld Tao. Their physical bodies are formed by the yin qi of the underworld region. Once they leave the underworld region, the physical body formed by the yin qi will not last long. If they can find their original physical bodies, not only will their combat power increase, their underworld Tao will also improve. Jing Xian smiled. "I see. Lung Feng was killed in the star Luo Sea, and his body was in the depths of the star Luo Sea. Could it have been eaten by the fishes in the sea?" Wang Kai smacked his lips and said with a strange expression. Lung Feng glanced at him and said coldly, "I can feel it. It is still intact. Since that's the case, let's make some preparations and make a trip to the Sun Moon Island." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with a rather casual expression. Chapter 319. At the Endless Treasures Pavilion. Wang Kai walked in with his hands behind his back and an indifferent expression on his face. Jing Xian and the others were waiting in the Dragon Group chariot. They were unwilling to enter the Treasure Trove Pavilion. After all, as the Holy Son of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, Wang Kai could enter the Endless Treasures Pavilion at any time. However, it was different for others. Even if Wang Kai allowed it, they were not willing to let Wang Kai break the rules. Little did they know that the rules of the Endless Treasures Pavilion were nothing in Wang Kai's eyes. This time, he came to the Endless Treasures Pavilion to take Lin Han Tian and his sister away. If not for this, Wang Kai would not have bothered to come. "Holy Son, the Emperor has just arrived. Would you like to see him?" A guard of the Endless Treasures Pavilion came up to him. His words caused Wang Kai to raise his eyebrows. "Emperor? The other 2 Emperor's sons of the Endless Treasures Pavilion? Aren't they far away in the Wu State?" Wang Kai asked curiously. What was even more strange was that this guard wanted him to take the initiative to see him. A look of disdain flashed across the guard's eyes. However, he still cupped his fists respectfully and said, "Holy Son, you have misunderstood. This emperor is not the emperor's son. He is the first emperor of the Endless Treasures Pavilion from 600 years ago. His name is Yang Qi, and he is an immortal martial artist who has just broken the seal. At the end of his words, the guard clearly emphasized the two words, immortal martial artist. However, Wang Kai only nodded slightly. He shrugged and said casually, "Oh, Ben Xiao knows. Where's Duan Daod? Let him see Ben Xiao." Whoosh. Seeing that Wang Kai did not care about Emperor Yang Qi, the guard was shocked. He said tentatively, "Holy Sun, Emperor Yang has just broken the seal. Ben Xiao is talking to you. Don't you understand? Let Duan Daod come out." Wang Kai frowned and glanced at him with an unfriendly expression. Plop. The guard was so scared that he knelt on the ground. He broke out in a cold sweat and said, "Please forgive me, Mr. Holy Sun. It's not that I didn't want to scream, but Steward Duan has been severely injured by Prince Yang and have been imprisoned in the stone room." Was he beaten? And he was imprisoned? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a playful expression, "Bring Ben Xiao to meet the so-called Prince Yang Qi." Lord Saint, didn't you just... The guard was stunned. He suddenly couldn't understand Wang Kai's intentions. Just a moment ago, he was still ignoring them. Why did he want to meet them now? Bang! Suddenly, Wang Kai lifted his leg and kicked the guard to the ground. With a cold expression, he reprimanded, "Impudent. Ben Xiao asked you to do it, so do it. Why are you spouting nonsense? As a servant, you should behave like a servant." Barf! The guard spat out a mouthful of blood. He lowered his head and clutched his chest. His eyes were filled with hatred. He immediately coughed and said, "Yes, Mr. Holy Sun. Wait, just tell Ben Xiao where Prince Yang Qi is. As for you, go and release Duan Daod and invite him over. Do you understand?" Wang Kai said indifferently with his hands behind his back. "Yes, Mr. Holy Sun. Prince Yang Qi is in the third private room on the 5th floor. He's discussing important matters with the Golden Dragon Clan's crown prince, Long Hua," the guard said respectfully and ran up the Endless Treasures Pavilion. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard this. Golden Dragon Clan's crown prince, Long Hua? He actually came to the Endless Treasures Pavilion and was discussing important matters with the crown prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion from a few hundred years ago. This was interesting. Prince Yang, about Wang Kai. In the private room, Crown Prince Long Hua was wearing a golden robe. He looked at a young man sitting opposite him with a smile. The young man was handsome and wore a white robe. He nodded slightly and said, "Ha! Even if Wang Kai can come back alive from the Dragon Mountain, I will let Elder Duo Bao kill him on the way. Haha, that's great. When the Crown Prince fights for the Holy Sun position, I will definitely help you." Crown Prince Long Hua laughed. Prince Yang Qi's eyes flashed with disdain. Even if Crown Prince Long Hua was the current Crown Prince of the Golden Dragon Clan, his strength was still too weak. If he wasn't the next clan leader of the Golden Dragon Clan, how could he sit with him? Haha, it's not the Crown Prince's help, it's the Golden Dragon Clan's help. The Holy Sun of the Endless Treasures Pavilion is about to break the seal. When the time comes, the Golden Dragon Clan can just kill him. As for the Empress, I will naturally hide it from her. Prince Yang Qi smiled faintly. Crown Prince Long Hua sneered in his heart. How could he not see that Yang Qi was looking down on him? However, in order to take revenge and kill Wang Kai, he could only agree and said with a smile, Of course, of course." Bam! Suddenly, the door was pushed open gently. Under Prince Yang Qi's puzzled gaze, Wang Kai walked in with his hands behind his back. Presumptuous. Where did this bastard come from? How dare he barge into my meeting place? Prince Yang Qi's face turned cold as he slammed the table and shouted. On the other hand, Crown Prince Long Hua's eyes were bulging. He raised his arm and pointed at Wang Kai in anger. He scolded sternly, "Wang Kai, you actually came back alive." Crown Prince Long Hua still held a grudge against Wang Kai for taking away his Crown Prince token in the Green Dragon Mountain Range. Later on, he almost lost his life because of it. Now that he had met his enemy, he was naturally furious. Wang Kai. Prince Yang Qi was taken aback when he heard this. Only then did he carefully size up Wang Kai. His tone was rather stern as he reprimanded. You're merely the current generation's chosen. Why aren't you kneeling down and greeting me? Greet my ass. Bin Xiao is here to beat you up. Who are you acting tough with? Why aren't you kneeling and kowtowing to Bin Xiao? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and scolded coldly. He immediately waved his sleeves, and a terrifying aura swept out. Buzz, bang, crack. In an instant, Prince Yangqi's body bent, and he knelt on the ground. The white stones on the ground were shattered. Your cultivation level. Immortal king? This is impossible. Prince Yangqi raised his head abruptly and stared at Wang Kai with a horrified expression. He could not believe that Wang Kai, who was just a holy son, was so powerful. As for Crown Prince Longhua, his eyes had long since frozen in fear. He never thought that the Crown Prince of Treasure Trove Pavilion from hundreds of years ago, a dignified peak powerhouse of the immortal sect, wouldn't even have the strength to fight back against Wang Kai. Then, what were they discussing just now? Could it be that they were discussing how to die? Plop. Thinking of this, Prince Longhua fell to the ground in exhaustion. One could imagine the bitterness in his heart. Let Elder Duo, Bao, kill Ben Xiao on the way. Does he have the ability? However, you don't have to miss him. You might see him later. Speaking of which, Ben Xiao really looked down on you. You were the prince of Endless Treasures Pavilion that was sealed hundreds of years ago. In the end, you're only at the Immortal Sect peak? With your weak aptitude, how did you become the prince of Endless Treasures Pavilion? Did you become the prince of Endless Treasures Pavilion by acting tough? Wang Kai snorted with disdain. He immediately crossed his legs and sat back on the chair. Yangqi was furious when he heard this. He immediately scolded sternly. How dare you? When I was sealed, I was already at the Immortal Sect peak. If I hadn't been sealed for hundreds of years, how could I allow you to behave so atrociously here? Chapter 320. Slap. Bang. Wang Kai abruptly swung his palm down again, slapping Prince Yangqi's face until it exploded and the side of his head slammed heavily onto the ground. Since you know that you've been sealed for hundreds of years and can't keep up with the times, why are you still acting tough in front of Ben Xiao? Does it feel good to be beaten up? Wang Kai snorted in disdain. You, cough cough, the Empress of the Fanzhou will not let you off. A mere chosen saint dares to do this to me. Slap, slap, bang, bang, bang. However, before Prince Yangqi could finish his words, he was slapped by Wang Kai until he was dizzy. His face was completely disfigured, and he looked like he was covered in blood. Ben Xiao is telling you clearly, don't mention the Empress of the Fanzhou in front of Ben Xiao. If you do it again, I'll cut your head off immediately. Wang Kai reprimanded with a dark face. Swoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, Yangqi was instantly shocked to the point his eyes went blank, and he even forgot the pain on his face and the deep humiliation he felt. He couldn't imagine that the chosen saint of the Endless Treasures Pavilion dared to disrespect the Empress of the Fanzhou. How could he say such disrespectful words? Could it be that the 6 provinces and 1 island had changed so quickly in the hundreds of years that they were sealed? Prince Yangqi suddenly felt dumbfounded. He was completely shocked by Wang Kai's arrogance. Little worm, Ben Xiao was kind enough to spare your life back then. Why aren't you enjoying your life in the Azure Dragon Mountain Range? Why did you come to Endless Treasures Pavilion to act tough? Are you here to give Ben Xiao dragon tendons and dragon bones to refine into weapons? Wang Kai said with a mocking smile. Swoosh! Crown Prince Longhua's face froze, and he felt a chill run from his feet to his head. He quickly said, Wang, cough, cough. Saint Prince Wang, don't misunderstand. No. I came to Treasure Gathering City to use the teleportation formation of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion to head to the eastern region of the Demon Continent. From there, I can head to Sun Moon Island to participate in the Ethereal Lantern Festival. The Dragonflower Crown Prince was also going to participate in the Misty Lamp Riddles. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. However, after thinking about it, he understood. The Ethereal Lamp Conclave invited the forces of all states. As one of the top forces of the demon state, It was not surprising that the Golden Dragon tribe's crown prince could attend. If that's the case, why are you still discussing matters with this trash who can't even act tough? How to kill Ben Xiao. The Golden Dragon tribe is so awesome. You could bring some experts here. Ben Xiao just happens to want to kill a few golden dragons. Immortal emperors would be the best. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. The Dragonflower Crown Prince immediately broke out in cold sweat after hearing such words. He quickly explained, Holy Sun Wang, please don't misunderstand. When I came out this time, I didn't. I snuck out and coincidentally met Yang Qi. Coincidentally met this guy who failed at acting tough, so... Okay, since you're so wise, follow this young master. In the future, it will no longer be 9 golden dragons pulling the carriage, but 10. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather indifferent smile. Bang! Before Crown Prince Long Hua could react, Wang Kai flipped his hand and knocked him out on the spot. In the blink of an eye, Crown Prince Long Hua was sent into the Tong Tian Tower. Wang Kai naturally wouldn't reject a golden worm who took the initiative to pull his carriage. Moreover, he was the Golden Dragon tribe's crown prince. Wouldn't he be very proud if he went out? Emperor Saint Duan Dao is here. Suddenly, the guard's uncertain voice came from outside the door. His tone was complicated. He wasn't sure who was stronger, the emperor or the saint. However, no matter which one it was, he couldn't afford to offend them. After Wang Kai's lesson, it was already deeply ingrained in his bones. Come in. Whoosh. The guard outside the door was carrying Duan Dao, who was in a daze and had a pale face. When he heard Wang Kai's voice, his heart immediately jumped violently. He hurriedly and gently pushed the door open. Just as he was about to report, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. The emperor, who was supposed to be high and mighty in the guard's heart, was kneeling on the ground with blood all over his face. Wang Kai, who was supposed to be inferior to Emperor Yang Qi, was sitting on a chair in an extremely carefree manner. God, what happened? Why is Saint Prince Wang so strong? Could he be the saint who has been sealed for hundreds of years? The guard exclaimed in his heart. He stood there in a daze, obviously not knowing what to do next. Buzz. Swoosh. Suddenly, Wang Kai flipped his hand and took out a blue pill. With a flick of his finger, it merged into Duan Dao's body. As a blue light appeared on the surface of Duan Dao's body, he, who was originally in a daze, instantly recovered to full of vigor. That's a saint-grade heavenly pill. Plop! When a guard saw this, he immediately exclaimed. However, he was immediately slapped to the ground by Duan Dao, who was on his back. Bastard! You bunch of despicable sycophants! How dare you listen to the despicable Emperor Yang Qi's order to torture me? Duan Dao scolded sternly. The more he spoke, the angrier he became. In the end, he kicked the guard and sent him flying. When Wang Kai saw this, he raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Duan Dao to be so bold. After all, Yang Qi was the emperor of the Endless Treasures Pavilion hundreds of years ago. No matter how unhappy he was, he couldn't say it out loud, right? However, when he thought about Duan Dao's character, Wang Kai felt relieved. Duan Dao, what's going on? Tell me the truth. Wang Kai shrugged, crossed his legs, and asked curiously. No matter what the reason was, Wang Kai believed that Duan Dao was definitely the victim. After all, he had seen too much of Duan Dao's honesty. Emperor, no, it should be Lord Chosen One. You're finally back. Emperor Yang Qi, that bastard. This is Emperor Yang Qi? Duan Dao was suddenly stunned. He looked at Yang Qi, who was kneeling on the ground with blood all over his face, and his expression immediately became extremely strange. At this moment, Emperor Yang Qi's heart was in a mess. He had never expected that he would face such a situation. If he had a choice, he would rather still be sealed. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and glanced at Yang Qi with a look of disdain. He waved his hand and said, Don't worry about him. He's just a third-rate trash who can't act tough. Tell me what's going on. Where are Lin Han Tian and his sister? Plop. Suddenly, Duan Dao knelt on one knee on the ground and said angrily, "Please forgive me, Lord Chosen One. I didn't protect Dowd well enough." When the despicable Yang Qi came to the Endless Treasures Pavilion, he asked about you, Lord Chosen One. At first, nothing bad happened. After all, there's nothing to hide about you, Lord Chosen One. But the most hateful thing is the guards in the pavilion. They actually told him about Lin Han Tian and his sister. When he heard the last part, Wang Kai's face was extremely cold. Chapter 321. And then, where are Lin Han Tian and his sister now? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and glanced coldly at Prince Yang Qi. Such a cold gaze immediately frightened Yang Qi to the point his entire body trembled. Before Duan Dao could speak, he took the initiative to say they are not in any danger right now. They have already been brought back to Sun Moon Island by the Li clan's deacon, Li Xian. Li family's deacon, Li Xian? That Zhao Xian? Zhao Xian should be imprisoned in the southern region's Jubao city under the supervision of Steward Hao Run. So, you want Steward Hao Run to release him? And you want to take Lin Han Tian and his sister away? What is your purpose? Wang Kai asked coldly. Prince Yang Qi's body trembled even more when he heard Duan Dao's words. He was hesitant. He had used this matter to establish a connection with the Li family. More importantly, it was hard to guess if Wang Kai would dare to kill him. Well, according to the time, Zhao Xian should not have gone far with Lin Han Tian and his sister. Since that is the case, you could die now, Wang Kai said indifferently. He flipped his hand and was about to slap down. Buzz. Suddenly, Prince Yang Qi took out a 7-colored token and raised it up high. He scolded, "How dare you? You are only the current holy son. Do you really want to kill me? I am the unofficial disciple of the Empress of Fanzhou. With this token as proof, you should know the purpose of this token. The unofficial disciple of the Empress of Fanzhou and the strongest prince from hundreds of years ago." However, Wang Kai ignored him. He looked at him with a mocking expression and asked indifferently, "Do you know what crime you have committed?" "Oomph." Prince Yang Qi snorted and did not respond. He took out the 7-colored token and saw that Wang Kai did not kill him. He was confident that he could survive. However, Yang Qi was also very clear that he could not provoke Wang Kai too much. Once he successfully escaped, he would naturally have many ways to deal with Wang Kai. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sneered. "First, you investigated Ben Shao, which is only natural. After all, Ben Shao is popular throughout the 6 provinces and 1 island, and everyone worships and respects him. But you injured Duan Dao. He's one of Ben Shao's people. Do you know that? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Prince Yang Qi's heart was filled with disdain. It was exactly the same as what he had heard. It was true that Wang Kai loved to boast. Second, you dared to release Zhao Xian, who was imprisoned by Ben Shao. You even allowed him to take away the Lin siblings. Don't you know that if Ben Shao allows someone to live, no one would dare to kill him? On the other hand, if Ben Shao allows someone to die, no one would be able to let that person live, Wang Kai said indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Prince Yang Qi's heart was filled with even more disdain, and finally, he could no longer tolerate Wang Kai's arrogant bragging and immediately snorted. "Wang Kai, if you really value the Lin siblings, you should be chasing after the Li family's deacon right now." However, before Prince Yang Qi could finish a sentence, he was coldly interrupted by Wang Kai. "Thirdly, and most importantly, who gave you the guts to do this? How dare you use that bitch, the Fan State Empress, to pressure Ben Shao? Sooner or later, she will be stripped naked by Ben Shao, hung up and beaten. Do you really think she can save you?" Wang Kai sneered. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly waved his hand and pointed it at Prince Yang Qi's head. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Buzz. Suddenly, While Imperial Prince Yang Qi was panicking, the seven-colored token flickered with a seven-colored light, and an icy voice sounded from it. Wang Kai, don't be presumptuous. I have not yet made a fuss about the death of Elder Duo Bao. Yang Qi is an in-name disciple that I had accepted back then. He is different from Hu Yin, outing whom you killed before. Release him quickly. The cold voice of the fan-state empress caused Wang Kai's pupils to shrink. Patter. Suddenly, Wang Kai waved his hand and took the token in his hand. Immediately, he used his other hand as a knife and directly chopped at Prince Yang Qi's arm. Puff. Ah, damn it. Bastard. Master. He cut off one of my arms. No. Puff. In the blink of an eye, Wang Kai chopped down again and directly chopped off Prince Yang Qi's other arm. Prince Yang Qi's heart-wrenching scream and the sound of him rolling back and forth on the ground were all transmitted into the rainbow token. Ben Shao is going to kill Prince Yang Qi today. What can you do? Wang Kai said with a sinister smile. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly raised his leg and kicked out. He directly tapped on Prince Yang Qi's leg. With a cracking sound, Prince Yang Qi's left leg was kicked into pieces. Ah, my leg, my hand. Ah, Wang Kai, damn you, damn you. Prince Yang Qi screamed crazily. At that moment, he was lying on the ground with a weak breath. His body kept twitching as though he would die from the pain at any time. Wang Kai, you have really angered me. Great Empress, Sect Leader Dian is about to break the seal. I hope you can help him as soon as possible. Two voices came from the rainbow token. Instantly, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Sect Leader Dian? The fan-state Empress is going to help Dian break the seal? Swoosh. Puff. In an instant, Wang Kai waved his hand and slashed down, directly killing the half-dead Prince Yang Qi on the spot. His head flew high into the air, and even his spirit was obliterated. Wang Kai, I will settle this with you. Patter. Then, the rainbow token's radiance dissipated and fell to the ground. Settle this? When Dean breaks the seal, if Ben Shao doesn't beat him up as well, I am not worthy of being called a bragging god. Wang Kai snorted coldly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Duan Dowd was extremely happy to watch from the side. However, when he saw Wang Kai and the fan-state Empress going against each other, he didn't know what to say for a moment. Duan Dowd informed Hao Run that if he is loyal to Ben Shao, he will naturally have something to tell Ben Shao. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. With Hao Ren's shrewdness, it would be strange if he didn't have a backup plan. However, the prerequisite was that Hao Ren's loyalty to Wang Kai had not wavered. Swoosh! Duan Dowd's expression hurriedly turned solemn when he heard this. He responded and took out a black token from his bosom. As he urged his mind to communicate with it, he said with great joy, Lord Holy Sun, Hao Ren said that he has already ordered people to secretly follow Zhao Xian. He should have just stepped into the star Luo Si. Aha! What a good Hao Run. Duan Dowd, you're also not bad. When Ben Shao completes the bragging alliance in the future, he will definitely invite the both of you to be in charge. Don't worry, it will definitely not be comparable to... Oh no, it should be the Gathering Treasures Pavilion that cannot be compared to the bragging alliance. Wang Kai smiled faintly. Then, he left the Gathering Treasures Pavilion with his hands behind his back. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Duan Dowd was stunned by what he heard. Bragging alliance? What was that? Chapter 322. Above the Treasure Trove Pavilion. The Dragon Group Sky Chariot was waiting in the air. Looking at the pavilion-like chariot with 9 golden dragons pulling the chariot and the Emperor's son of the golden-winged Great Peng race acting as the coachman, many cultivators secretly sighed in their hearts. They were even more impressed by Wang Kai's arrogance. When Wang Kai floated over, Prince Jin Duo hurriedly stood up to welcome him. He asked respectfully, Young Master Kai, where are we going now? Wang Kai waved his hand when he heard this. Under Prince Jin Duo's puzzled gaze, a young man who had fainted appeared in the sky. Slap, slap. Wang Kai grabbed Crown Prince Long Hua's neck and raised his hand to slap him twice. The crisp sound caused many of the cultivators who saw it to be stunned. Wang Kai, you cough, cough. Holy Sun Wang, what do you want me, this reptile, to do? Prince Long Hua suddenly woke up. He felt the burning pain on his face, but he did not dare to say anything. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard this. He looked at him with a playful expression and said with a playful smile, "You are really not bad. At least you know how to seek perfection. Well, since that is the case, Bin Xiao will not make things difficult for you. Quickly transform into your demon form and pull the chariot for Bin Xiao." What? You want me to pull the chariot for you? Prince Long Hua's eyes suddenly widened. His eyes were filled with shame and anger. His face darkened, and he looked like he was going to fight to the death. Ayo, ayo. The 9 golden dragons pulling the chariot at the front. The second Prince Long Xian opened his dragon mouth slightly and snorted in an unfriendly tone. Long Hua, young Master Kai is letting you pull the chariot because he thinks highly of you. If you dare to be disrespectful, you will definitely not be able to pull the chariot, but you will definitely lose your life. Roar, roar. Such words immediately enraged Prince Long Hua. He suddenly turned his head and stared at second Prince Long Xian. He sternly scolded, "Impudent! To think that you are the second prince of the Golden Dragon clan. You are actually willing to pull the chariot for a lowly human." Papa! Suddenly, Wang Kai waved his hand and slapped down twice, causing Crown Prince Long Hua to shake his head in confusion. "Forcibly form a bloodline contract with this Golden Dragon Crown Prince," Wang Kai said calmly. "Congratulations to the host for forming a bloodline contract with the Golden Dragon Crown Prince. 10 bragging points have been consumed." Wang. As the blood-red contract diagram appeared, Prince Long Hua's face turned pale from fright. He wanted to resist, but he couldn't move at all. He could only watch as the contract diagram was completed. Turn into a dragon and go pull the carriage. If you still dare to be disrespectful, Bin Xiao will not kill you directly. Instead, he will let you enter the bridal chamber with a lowly human man. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile. Swoosh! The moment these words came out, Prince Long Hua's entire body froze. The 9 golden dragons in front of him had eyes filled with fear. If not for Wang Kai using such a despicable method to threaten him as a proud dragon, how could he submit so easily? Ayo, ayo! In an instant, Prince Long Hua, with endless grief and indignation, transformed back into his golden dragon body. Under the guidance of Prince Jin Duo, he became one of the 9 golden dragons pulling the carriage. Heavens! That's a golden dragon. It's actually another golden dragon. This Wang Kai is really bold. The Golden Dragon clan is one of the 5 great clans of the Myriad Demon Palace. Nonsense, there are already 9 golden dragons. Could it be that we're missing one? Many cultivators were shocked to the extreme. They never would have thought that the young man who was whipped by Wang Kai would actually be a pure-blooded golden dragon. They had long heard that Wang Kai had caused a ruckus in the Azure Dragon Mountain and killed many Golden Dragon clan rankers. In the past, they felt that the matter was accurate, but now, after seeing it with their own eyes, they had no choice but to believe it. Wang Kai, this boy was truly courageous. Hee. You probably don't know who this Golden Dragon is, right? Bin Xiao is not afraid to tell you that he is the Golden Dragon clan's crown prince, Long Hua. Because he admires Bin Xiao's extraordinary might, he specially came to the Treasure Trove Pavilion to submit, crying and shouting that he wants to pull the carriage for Bin Xiao. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and bragging value of 10 points. As soon as these words came out, many cultivators were dumbfounded. The crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan, Long Hua. Now, he was pulling Wang Kai's carriage for him. If this matter was spread out, it would inevitably arouse the anger of the Golden Dragon clan, and it would certainly shake the 6 prefectures and 1 island. Sigh, being too strong is also a sin. However, Bin Xiao is open-minded and has never refused anyone. Since the crown prince has such intentions, Bin Shao can't refuse, right? Ha ha. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed again and again. He looked at Long Hua, who was trembling with anger, and immediately laughed out loud. He turned around and walked into the carriage. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and bragging value of 10 points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd grade Celestial King realm. In the carriage, Jing Xian, Niu Zhetian, Lung Feng, Can Run, and Bai He were all looking at Wang Kai with different expressions. They did not expect that Wang Kai would be able to capture the crown prince of the Golden Dragon clan to pull his carriage. Let's go straight to the star Luo Sea from the northern region, Wang Kai said with a faint smile. Yes, young Master Kai, Prince Jin Duo respectfully replied. Looking at the 10 golden dragons pulling the carriage in front of him, he suddenly felt that he was much stronger than them. As the dragon flipping heaven's carriage flew away, the treasure-gathering city was already in an uproar. The matter of today's matter would instantly spread to the entire demon continent, and even the 6 prefectures and 1 island. Wang Kai's battle with the Peacock clan in the Dragon Mountain would also shake the world. Northern region, border, Star Luo Sea coast. 3 days later, the dragon flipping heaven's carriage streaked across the sky and directly flew into the endless blue Star Luo Sea. The Star Luo Sea is very special. There is obviously wind blowing, but there is not the slightest ripple on the surface of the sea. If this is the case, it is impossible to pass through with a ship. Luckily, Bin Xiao's carriage is flying. Wang Kai yawned and looked extremely lazy. He was lying down on the golden dragon throne. His head was resting on Jing Xian's soft legs. Her soft legs and her enchanting fragrance made Wang Kai ecstatic. If Niu Zhetian and the others hadn't been in the carriage, they would have had sex again. Yes, but we still have to be careful. The 2 of us entered the Star Luo Sea from the Fan province by boat. Along the way, we encountered many sea demon experts. If not for that, we wouldn't have split up. Canron licked his lips and smiled ferociously. Sea monsters? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He could not help but sit up. He pushed open the window and looked down at the calm blue Star Luo High. He smiled in surprise and said, Since there are sea monsters in the deep sea, Lung Feng, how can your body be preserved so well? The corpse is inside one of the sea monsters. Lung Feng said coldly. Top quality bragging system. QQ discussion group. 326077524. If the group is full, there will be red packets, benefits, and explosive updates. There will be red packets every month, so there will definitely be a lot of them. Fellow Taoists, welcome to join the group and discuss the plot with me every night. Ahem. Let me secretly say that there are quite a lot of beauties. The latest developments are all in the group. Chapter 323. Was he really swallowed by a sea demon? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at Lung Feng with pity. He shook his head and sighed. Junior Lung Feng, your fate is really rough. All of this was caused by Li Kanglin, a direct descendant of the Li family. Not only was my big brother killed, he was also eaten by a sea demon. Big brother, don't worry this time. Big brother, why are you looking at me like that? Canron's sinister face suddenly froze. Lung Feng's eyes were cold. He was naturally unwilling to talk about his own misfortune. Now that Wang Kai and Canron had mentioned it, he couldn't ignore it even if he didn't want to. It was fine if he was killed because he was inexperienced and his skills were not as good as others. However, he was also eaten by a sea demon. This matter was extremely embarrassing. However, a sea demon wouldn't stay in one place in the Star Luo Sea, right? If Brother Lung can sense it, it should be a sea demon that the Li family raised with pills, right? Bai He frowned and pondered. Lung Feng looked at him coldly and said, That's right, it was raised by the Li family. Bastard. That Li Kanglin is really courting death. Not only did he kill Big Brother, he even used Big Brother's corpse to feed. Cough, cough. Big Brother, I didn't mean that. Don't look at me like that. Kenrin stood up angrily. Halfway through his words, he was shocked again. He wiped his bald head and sat back down nervously. Raising sea demons with pills. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He didn't expect the Leaf family to be so rich that they could even raise sea demons with pills. He said disdainfully, "The Leaf family is really too pretentious. They're actually wasting resources like this. Compared to Benshio's thriftiness, this is a huge sin." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. The faces of the people in the carriage stiffened, especially Nyoja Tion. He snorted disdainfully and said, "You're not much better than the Li clan. The Li clan uses medicinal pills to raise sea demons, and they use them to fight against their enemies. But you little brat, chewing them up and spitting them out. In the end, all you could do is act tough." Whoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the chariot nodded in agreement. Even Lung Feng and Qinren had heard of Wang Kai eating pills like candy. Seeing this, Wang Kai's face suddenly darkened, especially when he saw Jing Xian's mocking expression. He immediately gnashed his teeth in anger and said fiercely, "Bin Xiao is not wasting, but testing the pill. If you want to become a powerful alchemist, how can you not check the strength of the pill?" Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Yes, that's right. The pills that this young master chewed up and spat out were just some defective products. This young master hasn't taken out the truly powerful pills yet. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather indifferent smile, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Lung Feng and Qinren had come from the Fanzhou with Wang Kai, so they knew him very well. Nyoja Tion had been with Wang Kai for a long time, so he knew a lot more than Lung Feng and Qinren. Why, he had been with Wang Kai for a long time, so he knew a lot about him. Ben Xiao is a man of noble character and unquestionable integrity. He has always been a thrifty and diligent man. You don't trust Ben Xiao? Wang Kai frowned and looked at them with an unfriendly expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. However, Lung Feng and the others didn't even look at him. They didn't even have the intention to respond. They were afraid that if they continued, they would give Wang Kai another chance to brag. Haha, it's good that you don't believe me. Ben Xiao has always treated pills as mouthwashes. He has never put them in his eyes. So what if the Li clan raises sea demons? If this young master is willing, I would be able to feed the entire immortal martial realm. Wang Kai shrugged, crossing his legs as he laughed with a proud expression on his face. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Swish! As soon as he finished speaking, even Lung Feng's cold face froze. Looking at Qinren and Bai He, they were speechless and covered their faces with their hands. Haha, Wang Kai, your bragging skills are really strong. Even Jing Xian didn't notice it back then. Jing Xian's beautiful eyes sparkled as she looked at Wang Kai with a strange expression. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and pretended to be lonely. He shook his head and sighed. Jing Xian, Ben Xiao is the god of bragging. No one in the world can be compared to him. I didn't tell you before because Ben Xiao didn't want to be too ostentatious. People should know how to be humble. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Swish! As soon as he said that, Lung Feng and Qinren couldn't hold it in anymore. They immediately closed their ears and sat there with ugly expressions. Seeing this scene, Jing Xian covered her face and chuckled. Her beautiful eyes were filled with blame as she glared at Wang Kai. However, when such an appearance appeared on her exceptional face, it seemed as if she was acting coquettishly. Wang Kai's blood boiled. Just as he was thinking of how to chase Lung Feng and the others out, the carriage suddenly stopped in midair. Jin Duo, why did we stop? Wang Kai frowned and asked in confusion. Prince Jean Duo, who was outside the carriage, turned around and said respectfully, "Young Master Kai, because we didn't go from the Sun and Moon Bridge to the Sun and Moon Island, we will have to pass through the Lost Track region from the Demon Continent's northern region to the sea. We are currently at the outskirts of the Lost Track region." Lost Track region? Wang Kai was startled when he heard that. He couldn't help but lift his hand and lift the bead curtain. He saw that the fog was endless, and he couldn't see anything clearly. He frowned and said, "We can't pass through. It's not that we can't. We just have to rely on our strength." "Of course, I'm not talking about you, young Master Kai. Long Xian and I are only at the Saint stage. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to pass through," Prince Jean Duo said respectfully. But he also said with a serious expression, "That's right. If one isn't a Saint King, it'll be difficult to find the path in the Lost Track region. At that time, we won't be able to confirm whether we've arrived at the Pill region. You can't pass through the Lost Track region unless you're a Saint King. If that's the case, why did the Li family's deacon, Zhao Xian, dare to pass through here?" Wang Kai immediately frowned. Could it be that Zhao Xian had a way to avoid the Lost Track region? "Brother Wang, there's something you don't know. If you go from the Sun and Moon Bridge to the Sun and Moon Island in the eastern region, although there won't be any danger, you'll definitely encounter cultivators from other provinces. I'm sure that the Li family's deacon didn't want to be discovered by others, so he chose this path." But he thought about it and looked at Wang Kai with some surprise. He really wanted to know why Zhao Xian was so concerned about the people he had captured. Even the Li family's deacon would rather take a detour. How could there be no secrets? Chapter 324. Wang Kai raised an eyebrow when he heard this. He glanced playfully at Bai He, secretly praising him for being so cunning. However, he did not pay too much attention to it. Shrugging his shoulders, Wang Kai said indifferently, "It's just a lost domain. Even a Saint Emperor can smoothly pass through it, but you can't. Such a display is simply too embarrassing for this young master. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Jean Duo and the 10 golden dragons were speechless. If they had not been captured and cultivated patiently, it would not be difficult for them to reach the level of a Saint Emperor, even if they were not as strong as Wang Kai. After all, they used to be the princes of the top forces. Come. This young master has some trash pills here that can't even be put on the table. All of you can choose one and try to raise your cultivation level as soon as possible," Wang Kai said in a rather casual manner. With a flip of his hand, he took out all the medicinal pills in his space ring. "Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The huge amount of elixirs turned into a long dragon and broke through the bead curtain. It then circled around Jean Duo and the 10 golden dragons. Among them, the most inferior ones were Tier 7 heavenly elixirs, Tier 8 divine elixirs, and Tier 9 divine elixirs. The treasures of the immortal martial realm experts he had killed in the Dragon Mountain were all taken out without missing a single one. For Wang Kai, other than spirit stones, which were indispensable treasures, the rest of the things were simply not worth his attention. He had taken them out to raise the cultivation level of Jean Duo and the others so that they could act tough in the future. However, in the eyes of Bai He and the rest, they were extremely stunned. Even Lung Feng and Qinren were unable to sit still at this moment. They immediately recovered their sense of hearing and anxiously looked towards Wang Kai. "Senior brother, can you give us some of those elixirs?" Qinren licked his lips and rubbed his bald head. He looked like he wanted to take all the elixirs for himself. Although Lung Feng did not say anything, his eyes were filled with determination. "Young Master Kai, these elixirs, are we really allowed to choose from them?" Jean Duo asked in a trembling voice. The 10 golden dragons had transformed into their human forms at this moment. They used their protective golden lightning to support the chariot. Their expressions were incomparably anxious as they looked into the chariot. "You can choose from them. They're just elixirs. If Ben Shao is willing, immortal elixirs are nothing. No matter how high the grade of the elixirs are, they could be refined easily. Wang Kai said proudly. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to host for reaching 4th grade Celestial King Realm. Swoosh! The moment his voice sounded, Prince Jin Duo and the 10 golden dragons were pleasantly surprised as they expressed their gratitude. Then, they began to fight over the pills they wanted. For the first time, they felt that it was a blessing to be by Wang Kai's side. Even Crown Prince Long Hua was excited. Even though he was the crown prince of the Golden Dragon tribe, it was impossible for him to get so many elixirs at once. Moreover, there were immortal elixirs inside. They could choose from them at will. Lung Feng and Qian Rin suppressed their emotions and did not go out to fight for the elixirs. After all, Prince Jin Duo and the others were Wang Kai's subordinates. How could Song Ren and Lung Feng, with their pride, compete with them for the treasures? Senior brother, when we reach Sun Moon Island, we will find some materials for refining elixirs. Can you help us refine a cauldron? Qianren said as he licked his lips. Lung Feng said coldly, as the senior brother, it is my duty. What the F***CK? Wang Kai's mouth twitched. He hated refining elixirs the most. Even though it was easy to refine elixirs with the dustless flame, he did not want to refine elixirs in a cauldron. Ahem. No problem, no problem. When the time comes, this young master will refine some pills that surpass the level of immortal pills for you. Well, it's just a matter of flicking my finger, Wang Kai shrugged and said rather indifferently. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Qian Rin and Lung Feng looked at each other and said, Eldest senior brother, don't brag too much. Brother and sister-in-law will laugh at you. That's right. Wang Kai's forehead was full of black lines when he heard this. However, when he saw Jing Xian's obviously playful gaze, he waved his hand rather seriously and said, Of course, although this young master likes to brag, what I just said is true. It's just a pill that surpasses the immortal grade. It's not worth mentioning. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Cough, cough, Brother Wang. Can you also? Wang Kai interrupted by he and said indifferently. Let's not talk about this for now. We will talk about it later. What a joke. If everyone came to him to ask for elixirs, he would be exhausted. Even if he was not exhausted, he would be annoyed. Clap, clap. Neoja Tian snorted and said, Little boy, you haven't given me the pills you promised me. If you keep delaying, don't blame me for being impolite. Possessing the dustless flame isn't a good thing. Jing Xian pursed her lips and chuckled. Her beautiful eyes were filled with playfulness. Wang Kai was speechless when he heard this. He looked at Lung Feng and the others with disgust. He really had the urge to drive them away. If this continued, wouldn't he be bored to death by alchemy in the future? Jin Duo, Long Xian, if any of you can break through, you can tell Ben Shao. If you can't break through, you can continue to pull the carriage. Ben Shao will break through the confusion domain. Wang Kai waved his hand and said while lying on the golden dragon throne, Yes, young Master Kai. As the dragon traversing the heavens chariot entered the bewildering maze domain, Wang Kai waved his hand, instantly dispersing the mist. It's back. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. The mist that was supposed to be dissipated was restored in the blink of an eye. Furthermore, the density of the fog was even greater than before. Jing Xian, try it. Buzz. Immediately after, Jing Xian also waved her lily-white hand. Waves of Celestial Emperor's aura swept out. Although the mist was instantly broken, it did not last for long before it gathered again. Jing Xian shook her head and said softly, Jing Xian can't do anything about it. Even a Celestial Emperor can't break it? Is it an array or a restriction? Wang Kai suddenly frowned and couldn't help narrowing his eyes slightly. A ray of silver light suddenly appeared in his eyes. The Eye of Truth. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 rays of silver light shot out from Wang Kai's eyes and broke through the mist. However, in the end, he did not find anything strange. Zhao Xian? Suddenly, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed. He looked at a few figures carefully running through the mist. One of them was the deacon of the Li family, Zhao Xian. Lin Hantian and his sister were among them. Chapter 325. Top Quality Bragging System. QQ Discussion Group. 326077524. The group is full of red packet benefits. Welcome to come in and discuss the plot with fellow Taoists. Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. His silver eyes flashed as he stared straight at Lin Hanyue's delicate body. Through the eye of truth, he could see everything clearly. Zhao Xian? Are they in the lost territory? He asked with a frown. A strange look flashed in his eyes. He really wanted to see who had been taken away. Why did Wang Kai care so much? At this moment, Lung Feng and Kinren also looked at Wang Kai. They knew that he had deliberately made a detour to chase after the Li family's deacon. However, Wang Kai's expression that seemed to be very engrossed in it immediately caused everyone to be stunned. What did you see? Were those eyes? Kinren licked his lips and asked ferociously. However, Wang Kai didn't have time to care about them. He was looking at Lin Hanyue's body. Back in the Trove of Treasures pavilion, he had played a prank on Lin Hanyue to remove the 9 underworld's cold flame. Because of that, he made her take off a few pieces of clothing. Although he didn't see it thoroughly at that time, but now, it had to be said that although Lin Hanyue's appearance was not exceptional, her figure was very good. I didn't expect you to have the eyes of truth. What have you been doing in the Dragon Mountain while I was away? Niu Zhetian snorted and looked at Lin Hanyue with disdain. Other people didn't know about the eyes of truth, but it didn't mean that Niu Zhetian didn't know about it. Even though Niu Zhetian said the name of the eyes of truth, he and the others had never heard of it. They looked at Wang Kai in confusion. Wang Kai, is Zhao Xian a woman? Put it away. Jing Xian said faintly through voice transmission. Her face was extremely calm, and her eyes were indifferent as she looked straight ahead. Hearing the sound transmission, Wang Kai's expression suddenly stiffened. He quickly put away the eyes of truth and looked at Jing Xian suspiciously. He couldn't help but ask tentatively, "My beautiful little Jing Xian, what are you talking about? How could Zhao Xian be a woman?" However, Jing Xian ignored him. Instead, she looked at Wang Kai with a rather cold gaze. Swoosh! Such a gaze caused Wang Kai's heart to violently jump. He never thought that while others didn't know the use of the Eye of Truth, Jing Xian would know. Even Gu Bingning from the number 1 family of array cultivators couldn't see through it. Cough, cough. When Bin Xiao breaks the spell, Wang Kai's expression was rather awkward. Before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Cat Grandpa's voice transmission. Brat, the Lost Maze region up ahead isn't a formation. It's an illusion created by Grandpa Cat when I first came to the immortal martial domain. There's some treasures Grandpa Cat brought here. You should quickly head down to the depths of the sea alone. Grandpa Cat can use this chance to recover from my injuries. Grandpa Cat transmitted his voice weakly. Illusion. The treasures of Lord Cat were hidden in the deep sea? Wang Kai frowned. He had a strange expression on his face as he transmitted his voice. Big dumb cat, you said it was an illusion created when you came to the immortal martial domain? Where did Lord Cat come from? Cough, cough. You will know about this soon. Quickly go down. Lord Cat can use you to concoct a batch of medicinal pills, allowing me to recover to the immortal martial realm. Lord Cat replied. Concoction of medicinal pills again? Wang Kai was rather speechless as he rolled his eyes. However, he did not pay too much attention to it. He immediately stood up and pondered for a moment before looking towards Jing Xian. With a gentle smile, he said, After my husband goes out to destroy the Lost Trace region, my wife will capture Zhao Xian and the others. This young master wants to enter the deep sea to take a look at exactly what is so strange about it. Although Wang Kai didn't mind taking them down with him, what was hidden in the deep sea was the Cat Lord's treasure. Furthermore, the Cat Lord's identity didn't seem to be simple. In order to avoid any accidents, Wang Kai had to give up on the idea. And you can go first. Jing Xian's eyes flickered. Her heart skipped a beat when she heard him call her that. She nodded her head shyly. Swish! As Wang Kai stepped into the lost domain, he transmitted his voice. Big dumb cat, Bin Xiao wants to break the illusion. Is it okay? Within the heaven-reaching pagoda, Lord Cat, who was floating in the green palace, was so angry that his mouth and eyes turned askew. He said weakly, "If you have the ability to break it, then break it. Lord Cat doesn't expect you to leave all the treasures behind. Break the illusion." Wang Kai shrugged and activated his will. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking the illusion. 400 bragging points have been consumed. Buzz. All of a sudden, the fog in the lost maze domain dissipated. This scene shocked Lord Cat, who was inside the heaven-reaching pagoda, so much so that his eyes bulged. He thought that Wang Kai would return empty-handed. Who would have thought that he would actually break the illusion? What he didn't know was that Wang Kai was also stunned at this moment. His face was quite dark as he said, "I actually used 400 points, 400 points. This young master's bragging is all gone in an instant." Host, Wang Kai occupation, martial artist, talisman cultivator, array cultivator auxiliary occupation, alchemist realm, 4th grade immortal king cultivation skills, immortal true spirit technique, alchemy codex, spirit codex martial skills, stellar transposition, palm reversal yin yang, time 9 swords, flying dagger technique, indestructible fist, vitality bomb equipment, heaven-reaching pagoda, 9 dragon cauldron, god punishing brush, 10,000 formation seal, diagram bloodline. 9th grade bragging points, 0 experience, 20000900000. Looking at the information above, Wang Kai was depressed. The bragging that he had so painstakingly bragged about was all for naught in the end. But thinking about the secret of the ruins that Lin Han Tian and his sister knew, he could only shake his head and sigh helplessly. "Wang Kai, why are you still alive?" Suddenly, Zhao Xian, who was in the void far away, saw that the surrounding fog had suddenly dissipated. After looking around, he immediately discovered Wang Kai's figure. Suddenly, his expression was extremely panicked as he screamed, "Big brother Wang!" Lin Hanyue cried out in surprise, her beautiful eyes overflowing with tears. Lin Han Tian, who was beside her, was also very excited. He really did not expect Wang Kai to appear here. "Get lost. When Bin Xiao comes back, I'll teach you a lesson. Just wait for your death." Wang Kai frowned and glared at Zhao Xian with a rather unfriendly expression. Then, he looked at the Lin siblings and smiled rather calmly. "Don't worry. Since Bin Xiao is here, you are safe." As soon as he finished speaking, under the startled gazes of the Lin siblings, Wang Kai waved his hand and formed a battle aura barrier. He jumped directly into the Star Sea. How could he be safe? Why did he jump into the Star Sea? The Lin siblings were a little dumbfounded. "Bastard, who would wait here for you to come up?" Zhao Xian's face was gloomy as he cursed angrily. Then, he waved his hand at an old man beside him. The old man was dressed in a black robe, and his aura was vigorous. He was at the level of a holy emperor. Seeing this, he immediately grabbed the Lin siblings, one in each hand. "Put them down, kneel in the air, and wait for Wang Kai to come back." Whoosh! However, before the old man and Zhao Xian could leave, they saw the figure of Jing Xian appear in front of them. That extremely calm voice that was filled with irresistible power immediately shocked Zhao Xian to the point that his expression abruptly changed. Chapter 326. Under the Star Sea, Wang Kai was covered with a cyan battle chi barrier, which blocked the seawater and the pressure outside. According to the guidance of Lord Cat, he didn't stop until he was about 20,000 m deep in the sea. Pa pa pa, sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The cracking sounds of the battle chi barrier constantly drifted in Wang Kai's ears, causing him to faintly frown. If he continued to dive deeper, he was afraid that he could not bear the pressure in the deep sea 20,000 m below the sea level. Looking at the empty azure seawater around him, He did not even encounter a single sea demon. This region was just like the Dead Sea. Wang Kai could not help but ask in confusion, "Big, dumb cat, where is the world within a palm that you mentioned?" "It's right in front of you. Use the eye of truth, and you will see it," Cat Lord said. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard the words. His eyes narrowed slightly as strands of silver light flickered from his pupils. When he looked ahead, he found a transparent sphere the size of a palm. The transparent sphere was like a bubble, floating 20,000 meters deep in the sea. It did not break, and there was a small green mountain inside it. This is the so-called world in the palm. Wang Kai was surprised. Inside the Tower of Babel, Cat Lord said indifferently, "That's right. You can create a world with a flip of your palm. You can't reach this level for the time being." Haha, Bin Xiao is not boasting, but Bin Xiao is tired of playing with things like the world in the palm when he was a child. If Bin Xiao wants to, I can create a world with a puff. Let's call it the world in the puff. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Cat Lord immediately bared his teeth in disdain. He knew that Wang Kai was bragging again, so he did not dare to talk too much. Instead, he urged, "You can enter the world in the palm if you touch it. Hurry up. It's that interesting?" Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly as he approached the world in the palm with a curious expression. He extended a finger and gently tapped the bubble with interest. Wang Xiao. In an instant, Wang Kai's body turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the world in the palm. The bubble was not damaged at all and was still floating in the deep sea. TSK. The world in the palm is really interesting. Since it can be entered so easily, why has no cultivator discovered the 6 states and 1 island? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. He looked at the green mountain in front of him. It was towering into the clouds. There was a huge spiritual medicine field, and there were 3 huge palaces. If he did not see it with his own eyes, Wang Kai would have thought that he had entered the space of some kind of treasure. Just like the heaven-reaching pagoda and the 7-colored mortal emperor token, the inner world was huge and real. Swoosh! A white light shot out from the Tower of Babel, and the chubby Lord Cat appeared. He carried 2 long sabers on his back, and there were 2 golden earrings on his pointy ears. If he did not break the fog illusion just now, even a peak immortal emperor would not be able to discover the existence of the world in the palm. The fog illusion in the star Luo Sea is just an extension of the main illusion here. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and said indifferently. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. The extension of the main illusion could prevent immortal emperors from getting rid of it? In that case, if he did not use the system to remove the illusion, how strong would the main illusion be in the deep sea? Big stupid cat, when you first came to the immortal martial domain, what was your cultivation level? Wang Kai asked curiously. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and floated to the front of the spiritual medicine field. He glanced at the spiritual medicine field and casually said, "A little stronger than immortal emperors. Brat, quickly store these spiritual medicine into the Tower of Babel." Wang Kai's eyes narrowed when he heard this. A little stronger than immortal emperors? The cultivation level above immortal emperors. Hiss. However, when Wang Kai saw the countless medicinal herbs, he instantly drew in a breath of cold air in shock. With an astonished expression on his face, he said, "There are over 10,000 types of medicinal herbs here, and all of them are over 10,000 years old. Big dumb cat, could it be that you've been in the immortal martial realm for over 10,000 years? Naturally, 13,000 years ago, this Lord Cat came from the 8 Desolaces. Forget it, it's all in the past. This Lord Cat is unwilling to talk about it." Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers. His expression was sorrowful and lonely. Wang Kai's lips twitched when he saw this. He had a strange expression on his face as he asked, "Big stupid cat, could it be that you were dumped by a beautiful female cat and came to the immortal martial domain because you were too heartbroken? Bastard, this Lord Cat is the 8 Desolaces illusion sovereign. How can I be like you, a womanizer?" Lord Cat bared his fangs and unhappily snorted. Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. Since Lord Cat wasn't willing to talk about it, there was nothing he could do. However, he was even more curious about the 8 desolaces that Lord Cat spoke of. Lord Cat came to the immortal martial domain 13,000 years ago and was slightly stronger than immortal emperors. But now, why was he so weak? Brat, quickly store the spiritual medicine here. This Lord Cat hasn't been back for so many years. I need to properly inspect this place. Lord Cat shook his head and sighed repeatedly. His appearance was extremely sorrowful and lonely. Looking at the sorrowful back view of Lord Cat, Wang Kai's brows twitched. He narrowed his eyes and laughed playfully. Big stupid cat, if Ben Shao was really deceived by you, wouldn't you be calling yourself a god in vain? Since the spiritual medicine field here already had over 10,000 types of spiritual medicine that were over 10,000 years old, then the other places, especially the 3 palaces, wouldn't have even better treasures? Even if you beat Wang Kai to death, he wouldn't believe it. Given Lord Cat's crafty personality, in Wang Kai's opinion, there was an 80% chance that he wanted to secretly store away the other treasures. Xiao, thinking of this, Wang Kai flipped his hand and released the Pai Xiao from the heaven-reaching pagoda. He stroked his head and said indifferently, Pai Xiao, swallow all the spiritual medicine here. When you're satisfied, you can spit them out for Ben Shao in the future. Don't worry, there will be plenty of benefits for you in the future. Wow, so many 10,000 years old spiritual medicine. Wang Kai, you are really a good person. Don't worry, after I finish tasting these spiritual medicine, I will return them to you. However, you can't lie to me. In the future, you have to bring me to places like this more often. Pai Xiao said crisply. His eyes were shining as he stared at the spiritual medicine. Even his saliva was flowing out. As soon as he finished speaking, the Pai Xiao opened his bloody mouth and bit down. Such a scene made Wang Kai's mouth twitch. He couldn't help but recall the incident on the spiritual medicine mountain. He was afraid that after this, the mountain peaks in the world in the palm would be razed to the ground by the Pai Xiao. Superb Bragging System QQ Discussion Group 326077524. Fellow Taoists, please join the group. The group is full of red packets and benefits. Come and discuss the plot with me and fellow Taoists. Booching is waiting for you in the group. Chapter 327. Rumble. The door to a palace that was as white as jade slowly opened. Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers and took a deep breath. His originally weak complexion actually showed signs of improvement. Cat Lord, you're back. Cat Lord, we haven't seen you for a long time. It's so boring here. Are you back the Medicine God Mountain? It's been more than 10,000 years. I'm 1 year older. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Following the childlike voices, dozens of streamers shot out from the palace. When they appeared in front of Cat Lord, they were spiritual herbs. Ginseng, green bamboo, Ganoderma, rare flowers, and rare herbs. Each of them had a human face and 4 limbs. Their movements were extremely nimble. If they didn't look like spiritual herbs, they would have been mistaken for miniature humans. Big head, 7 Ganoderma, 9 flowers, 4 ginseng. Quickly take a piece of spiritual herb. Cat Lord wants to use it to refine an elixir to heal my injuries. Cat Lord stroked his long beard and said, swoosh, 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 swoosh. A 1-foot-tall black mushroom took the lead and very carefully cut a piece of the mushroom from its root. Then a 9 petals Ganoderma, 7 colors flower, and white ginseng with thick roots cut a piece of spiritual herb from each of them. Cat Grandpa, who injured you? Are we really back in the 8 Barrens? The black mushroom called Big Head asked worriedly. The 7 colors flower's petals swayed slightly and said in a strange voice, we must be back in the 8 Barrens. Otherwise, who can hurt Cat Lord? Bah, even in the 8 Barrens, there aren't many people who can hurt Cat Lord. The 9 petals Ganoderma snorted unhappily. Cat Lord's mouth twitched and his eyes slanted. He couldn't stand there chattering and quickly waved his paws and said, quickly hide. Cat Lord hasn't returned to the 8 barons yet. There's a despicable human brat outside. If he sees you, he will definitely eat all of you. Ah, are you for real? Cat Lord, what about you? That villain won't hurt you, right? Could it be that villain who injured Lord Cat? What should we do? What else can we do? Quickly hide. Listening to the incessant chatter of the dozens of spiritual herbs, Cat Lord felt that his injuries had worsened. In the end, they all turned into streams of light and disappeared into the palace. Before that kid gets here, I should hurry up and patter. Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers, but before he could finish his sentence, he heard footsteps behind him. His fur stood on end, and the paw that was holding onto his whiskers froze. What were the grades of those spiritual herbs just now? He could actually speak the human language and even have the ability to think. Speaking of which, this palace was not simple at all. It was built with spirit stones, right? TSK. With such dense spiritual energy, it must be above the 9th level, right? In the blink of an eye, under Wang Kai's continuous collection, the 3 palaces were all stored into the Tong Tian Tower. Boy, what are you trying to do? Why are you being so quiet? Cat Lord's heart is really uneasy. Cat Lord grabbed his long whiskers tightly and finally couldn't help but ask. According to Wang Kai's personality, how could he be so honest? Wang Kai's abnormal behavior made Cat Lord extremely uncomfortable. Wang Kai pretended to be sad when he heard that. He shook his head and sighed. With his hands behind his back, he said in a lonely voice, "Big stupid cat, with your relationship with Ben Xiao, do you still need to do something behind his back? You are simply insulting Ben Xiao's noble character." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Bastard, boy, there is no need to brag in front of Cat Lord. What are you trying to do? Cat Lord was so angry that his whole body trembled. He couldn't even hold the spiritual medicine firmly, and it fell to the ground. Wang Kai was speechless when he saw that. He thought to himself that he rarely expressed his emotions. In the end, he didn't gain Cat Lord's trust at all, although the 3 palaces must have hidden extremely powerful treasures. Cat Lord's heart was filled with them. In Wang Kai's opinion, as long as he entered the Tong Tian Tower, they would be his sooner or later. Since that was the case, why should he be in a hurry to take them for himself? Okay, big stupid cat, if you don't believe in Ben Xiao, you can guard the 3 palaces in the Tong Tian Tower every day. Ben Xiao will now refine a furnace of elixirs for you. Bring the spiritual medicine over. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said, "Superb bragging system, QQ discussion group. 326077524, sincerely inviting all friends to join the group to discuss the plot. If the group is full, red packets will be given out. Come and join the group. Booching is waiting for you in the group." Chapter 328. Bang! With a flip of his hand, Wang Kai took out the 9-dragon cauldron. With an extremely practiced flick of his finger, a pale white dustless flame entered the cauldron along with the 4 pill refining ingredients. Buzz! Immediately after, in less than 10 breaths, a ball of light green brilliance gathered at the mouth of the 9-dragon cauldron. After the dustless fire completely dissipated, a ball emitting a green aura impressively floated out. Congratulations to host for successfully refining a divine pill. You have received 1,000 experience points. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade of the Dan Celestial Realm. 9-dragon cauldron host. Wang Kai profession. Alchemist cultivation technique. Alchemy codex realm. 9th grade of the Dan Celestial Realm experience. 1100 hearing the notification. Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. Looking at the green pill floating in front of him, he couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva as he said in surprise, "This pill is actually a divine pill?" Looking at the information displayed, the experience points were obtained from refining the 10,000 demon barrier breaking immortal pill for Ren Huan Huan. However, the divine pill just now was 1,000 times more valuable than an immortal pill. An immortal pill could only give 1 experience point, but a divine pill could give 1,000 experience points. It directly raised his alchemist realm to the 9th grade of the Dan celestial realm. Such a realm was already one of the strongest in the immortal martial domain. If it wasn't for the cauldron's ability to only refine pills in the same realm as the alchemist, Wang Kai would have already reached the immortal emperor realm. However, Wang Kai didn't mind. Previously, he was a pill saint. Refining immortal pills naturally wouldn't give him any experience points. Now that he was a Dan celestial, refining immortal pills would definitely give him a huge amount of experience points. Swoosh! Lord Cat leaped up and grabbed the green pill with his paw. Under Wang Kai's astonished gaze, he swallowed it. He stroked his long whiskers and said, "That's right. The 9 soul recovery pill can naturally become a level 10 divine pill. This way, not only will Lord Cat be able to recover his peak strength, he will also be able to reach the immortal martial realm." Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly when he heard this. He didn't need a pill formula for this alchemy, so he didn't know what pill Lord Cat wanted to refine. He didn't expect it to be the 9 soul recovery pill. When Lord Cat was heavily injured, he said that he would go to the Sun Moon Island to find a 9 soul recovery pill. But he didn't expect that he didn't need to find one, and he had already obtained a 10th grade divine pill. Since the materials used to refine pills were different, the quality of the pills refined would naturally be worlds apart. Thinking of this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. A strange light flashed in his eyes. He couldn't help but touch his chin. He thought to himself, "There's still a lot of spiritual herbs that can speak human language. If I can use them all to refine pills, won't Ben Shao's alchemy realm improve by leaps and bounds?" Wang Kai, who was already tired of refining pills, tasted the sweetness of 1,000 experience points for 1 pill. How could he let go so easily? His appearance naturally couldn't escape Lord Cat's attention. He bared his teeth and said, "Boy, don't think about those spiritual herbs. If you need to refine pills, Lord Cat can ask them to give you a piece of material. But remember, don't ask for too much. Just like humans, they also have life." Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He naturally understood what Lord Cat meant. Just like a human's body, if a piece of flesh was cut off, it would be a lie to say that there was no damage. No problem. Ben Shao doesn't ask for much. A month. 100 pieces. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Whoosh. As soon as these words came out, Lord Cat's expression became extremely angry. He fiercely pinched his long whiskers and warned, "You're not allowed. There are only 47 of those little guys. Each person can only take 1 piece per month. Any more, and it will hurt their foundation." "Does that mean that I can only get 47 pieces of divine-grade alchemy materials per month?" Wang Kai frowned and glared at Cat Grandpa with an unfriendly expression. However, after seeing Cat Grandpa's serious expression, he had to dispel the idea. After all, he couldn't be too ruthless. As long as the divine-grade alchemy materials were still in the heaven-reaching tower, was there a need to be afraid of not having enough? We'll do as you say. As the saying goes, the heavens are virtuous. Ben Shao is a benevolent person who treats others as if they were his own. Naturally, he won't do such a thing. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Lord Cat secretly despised Wang Kai. He definitely wouldn't believe in his nonsense. However, after thinking about it, he didn't mind. With him in the heaven-reaching tower, there was no need to be afraid that Wang Kai would secretly steal the divine-grade alchemy materials. Lord Cat wants to refine the divine-grade alchemy pills. I'll be out in 7 days. Before that, don't disturb Lord Cat in the heaven-reaching tower." Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and said. After that, he turned into a ray of light and entered the heaven-reaching tower. With regards to this, Wang Kai expressed his approval. If Lord Cat recovered to the immortal martial realm, no one in the immortal martial domain would be able to resist his illusions. That's right. Kid, you should keep the world in your palm as well. Even a peak, immortal emperor wouldn't be able to discover its existence. Hee, the power of its explosion will definitely surprise you. It's about the same as your primordial chi bomb, right? Cat Lord said with a smile. Wang Kai's face darkened when he heard this. Wasn't the Pai Xiao swallowing the divine grade alchemy pills now? It was fine if it raised the mountain peak to the ground, but what if it ate the world in its palm? Swish! Thinking of this, Wang Kai hurriedly moved, only to discover that half of the mountain peak had already been swallowed by the Pai Xiao. Fortunately, the world in its palm didn't show any signs of damage. Pai Xiao, are you full? If you are, let's go. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled. The Pai Xiao shrank its mouth and returned to its original appearance. Looking at the remaining half of the mountain peak, it said in a crisp voice, Wang Kai, those mountain rocks contain a very strong power. Can you let me eat them all? A very strong power? Wang Kai was stunned when he heard this. He couldn't help but flip his hand to summon the mountain rocks into his palm. To his surprise, he discovered that the mountain rocks indeed contained an extremely strong spiritual chi. This spiritual chi was extremely similar to the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Moreover, it had surpassed the level of a 9th grade spirit stone. Could it be that within the mountain rocks of the 8 desolates, there is such a huge power? What kind of place is that? Wang Kai frowned and suddenly felt extremely speechless. However, since the mountain rocks contained such a huge power, Wang Kai naturally wouldn't let the Pai Xiao swallow it. It surpassed the power of the 9th grade spirit stone. If it was integrated into the 10,000 formation restriction map, wouldn't it be like adding wings to a tiger? Thinking of this, Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and said with a smile, Pai Xiao, what are these rubbish mountain rocks? Don't eat it. It will dirty your mouth and also reduce Ben Xiao's value. Wait for Ben Xiao to take you to a more awesome place in the future. There, it will definitely not be worse than here. At that time, I will let you eat to your heart's content. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience and bragging points of 10 points. The Pai Xiao's eyes immediately lit up and its saliva flowed all over the ground. However, when it looked at the remaining half of the mountain peak, its eyes were full of reluctance. It said in a crisp voice, I don't mind being dirty. Let me eat the rest first. Ah. Swish. However, before the Pai Xiao finished speaking, it was thrown into the Tong Tian Tower by Wang Kai. Is Ben Xiao's life more important? Or is your appetite more important? Wang Kai was speechless and rolled his eyes. This time, the experts of the celestial martial arts had broken the seal one after another. The celestial emperor level would not be long. If he didn't have a powerful method, how could he act tough? Chapter 329. Walala. Wang Kai floated out of the star's sea, causing Zhao Xian, who was kneeling in mid-air, to tremble. The Saint Emperor beside him was even more terrified. Zhao Xian and the Saint Emperor had naturally heard of Wang Kai's name. Putting aside his crazy deeds, just the fact that he was able to walk out alive from the pursuit of an immortal martial artist was enough to shock them to the core. That bastard Yang Qi of the Treasure Trove Pavilion, didn't he say that Wang Kai would not survive? Why is he still alive? Why? Damn it. Zhao Xian was cursing madly in his heart. If he knew that the so-called Prince Yang Qi was dead, who knew what he would think? Young Master Wang, young Master Kai, Lin Han Tian, and his sister floated out of the carriage with faces full of surprise and joy. They came before Wang Kai and were about to kneel down in gratitude, but just as they bowed, Wang Kai waved his hand to stop them. There's no need for this. Ben Xiao saved you and your sister for his own selfish reasons. This time, I will bring Ben Xiao to the secret place in the pill domain of Sun Moon Island. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the eyes of Lin Han Tian and his sister were filled with even more admiration. Not only were there no strange emotions, but their respect for Wang Kai's magnanimity had reached a point of no return. Young Master Wang is really a magnanimous man. Hanwei admires you. Lin Hanyue's face was slightly red as she lowered her head shyly. At the same time, Jing Xian, who was standing in front of Zhao Xian and the Saint Emperor, looked at Wang Kai with her beautiful eyes. As smart as she was, she naturally knew that Wang Kai had a purpose. But she did not expect that he would say it in front of the Lin Han Tian and his sister. It had to be said that Wang Kai's actions were really magnanimous. Little did they know that in Wang Kai's opinion, there was not much difference between saying it out loud and hiding it. As long as he was strong enough, there was no need to be afraid of any variables. Just like the Dragon Mountain ruins, who could snatch it away? Is there really a secret place? Looks like I have to inform Miss Gu to come here. As long as Wang Kai wants to use us to enter the remains of the 9 Revolutions Soul Return Elixir, I'm sure he won't mind if we enter that secret place, right? He sat in the carriage and rolled down the window slightly. His eyes flickered as he thought to himself. Papa! Suddenly, Niuzha Tian came out of the chariot. He looked at Wang Kai and said, "Little boy Wang, did the cat give you the world in her palm? Where are the treasures inside?" Whoosh! Wang Kai was surprised. He looked at Niuzha Tian and asked, "You can see the world in the palm?" The world in the palm was too special. It couldn't be put in a spatial ring. Although it could be put in the Tower of Babel, Lord Cat said that it would cause the world in the palm to disappear. Wang Kai had no choice but to put the world in the palm next to him. According to Lord Cat, even a peak immortal emperor couldn't see the world in the palm. He didn't expect Niuzha Tian to see through it. Nonsense! Who is Master Niu? It's just a world in the palm. How could I not know? Let's not talk about that for now. Show Grandpa Niu the cat demon's treasure, Niuzha Tian said, his face full of anticipation. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and took out the world in the palm. He smiled and said, "How do you know there are treasures inside the world in the palm?" "Papa," Niuzha Tian snorted and said impatiently, "The biggest use of the world in the palm is to store treasures. Only the ordinary cultivators of the celestial martial domain use a spatial ring to store things. Of course, if it's given to some low-level cultivators, such as you, they can use it to kill their enemies." Using the world in the palm as a spatial ring? Just how powerful were the experts from the 8 wastelands? They were too pretentious. Wang Kai was angry. If he went to the 8 desolate lands in the future, he would teach them a lesson. They would get beaten up if they continued to act pretentious. In the distance, Jing Xian vaguely glanced at the world in Wang Kai's palm. A strange light flashed in her beautiful eyes. There was a trace of excitement, but more than that, she was worried. "Zhao Xian, long time no see. How are you?" Wang Kai clasped his hands behind his back and slapped Niuzha Tian, who was biting his clothes, to the side. Then, he walked in front of Zhao Xian. "Papa!" Niuzha Tian snorted and said angrily, "Little Wang, you are too mean. I have worked so hard to follow you. Now that there are benefits, you want to take them all for yourself?" Hearing this, Wang Kai's face darkened. He glared at him and thought, "I still want to get the treasures in the 3 palaces, but Lord Cat won't let me. I can't open them right now. Holy Sun Wang, long time no see, papa." Immediately, before Zhao Xian could finish speaking, his body was slapped flying by Wang Kai's 2 successive slaps. The skin and flesh on his face burst apart, causing his blood and flesh to tumble and his teeth to shatter. "Long time no see, my ass. Are you close to Ben Shao?" Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. Bang! Right after he said those words, when Zhao Xian's body fell from the sky, Wang Kai abruptly raised his leg and kicked his back, kicking him into the sky once again. It could clearly be seen that Zhao Xian's back had already exploded from a kick, and the blood and internal organs within it had all turned into blood. "What is this? What level is this? You dare to show off in front of me? You better be reincarnated into a better body in your next life." Wang Kai shrugged and sneered disdainfully. Zhao Xian's corpse, who had already breathed his last, fell from the sky. With a plop, it fell into the star-shifting sea. Splash! Suddenly, an incomparably huge monster fish shot out. It opened its mouth, which was the size of half a house, and swallowed Zhao Xian's corpse. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. He shook his head and said regretfully, "How pitiful. You've become a fish's meal, even after death." Swish! The corner of the Saint King's mouth immediately twitched when he heard that. A chill ran from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head as he could not help but tremble. Swish! Crack! However, before Wang Kai could do anything, an azure streak of light drifted out of the chariot and directly cleaved the Saint King in half. Swish! 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 Afterward, several more azure streaks of light shot out and completely reduced the two halves of the corpse to mush. "First senior brother, you're not vicious enough," Lung Feng snorted coldly. Although his face was still extremely cold, there was a sliver of anger in his eyes. Lung Feng felt very uncomfortable when he heard Wang Kai say that he would become a fish's meal after death. Wang Kai shrugged when he saw this. He could not help but shake his head and sigh as he looked at the rain of mush and blood that was being eaten by extremely small fish. "Aren't you still going to become a fish's meal in the end? You damn it." Lung Feng's face stiffened. He suddenly put away his sword and returned to the chariot in extreme anger. He was quite angry at Wang Kai. "Thank you, Detective D. Renjia, Piao Hong's tip. Please join the group regarding updates. QQ Discussion Group 326077524. Welcome to the group." Chapter 330. Martial State, Supreme Mountain, Supreme Dao Sect. At this moment, the leaders of various peak forces from 6 states and 1 island, as well as many wandering cultivators, had gathered at the Supreme Dao Sect's training ground. There were many leading figures of the younger generation present. For example, saints, saintesses, princes, princesses, and even those with decent talents were present. Among them, the majority were experts who had broken out of the seal. The strongest were immortal emperors, and the weakest were saints. There were hundreds of thousands of them. At the foot of the Supreme Dao Mountain, there were still countless experts watching. Every one of them had a respectful expression, and their eyes were filled with fanaticism. At this moment, hundreds of thousands of experts were sitting cross-legged on the training ground, waiting. Opposite the training ground, there was a tightly sealed black palace. In front of the palace, hundreds of experts in black robes sat. They were all elders of the Supreme Dao Sect. The weakest was at the peak of the Immortal King realm. Most of them were at the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm, and there were 3 to 4 Immortal Emperors. However, the only one who could reach the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm was the Empress of Fan State. Compared to the other peak forces, the Supreme Dao Sect had 3 to 4 times more Immortal Emperors than them. Almost every peak force only had 1 Immortal Emperor, and they had yet to reach the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. Brother Dean. Suddenly, the Empress of Fan State slowly stood up. Her beautiful face was filled with surprise, and her eyes were filled with splendor as she looked at the tightly shut palace door. When the experts saw that the Empress of Fan State had stopped, the hundreds of elders of the Supreme Dao Sect also stood up respectfully with their heads bowed. Sect Master Dean is finally going to break out of the seal. Many experts' hearts skipped a beat, and their eyes were filled with eagerness as they stared at the palace door. This was especially so for the younger generation of experts who were watching with fervent gazes. Even the proud and arrogant saints, saintesses, princes, and princesses had lowered their postures at this moment and were watching with reverence. In their hearts, Dean had always been a legend in the immortal martial domain, an unshakable legend. The younger generation present all yearned to become a powerhouse like Dean, and today they could finally see Dean in person. To them, who had only heard of his name but had never seen him in person, they were naturally excited. Rumble. Suddenly, under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, the sealed door of the palace slowly opened. Haha, sworn Sister Fei-Ching. Oh, how capable is Dean to actually have everyone personally welcome him? A chuckle mixed with warmth came from within the palace. Such an ethereal voice could not help but clear the mind of those who heard it, as if they were bathing in the spring breeze. Welcome, Sect Master Dean. Several hundred elders of the Supreme Tao sect bowed and cupped their fists in greeting. Congratulations to Sect Master Dean for breaking the seal. The experts from the various peak forces all cupped their fists and congratulated him respectfully. Congratulations to Sect Master Dean for successfully breaking the seal. After that, surging waves of sound once again resounded from the foot of the mountain and even thousands of kilometers in the sky. It shook the white clouds to the point they dispersed, and the howling of the wind reverberated incessantly within the mountain range. Those were the voices of the tens of millions of experts who were waiting at the foot of the mountain. They came from the various major and minor powers of the 6 prefectures and 1 island. Although they could not be compared to those experts in the Supreme Tao sect, the sound waves formed when the number of people was added together was still extremely terrifying. From their voices and expressions, it wasn't hard to tell that the experts from the 6 prefectures and 1 island who came here were all filled with admiration and respect for Dean from the bottom of their hearts. The only person in the immortal martial domain who could obtain this honor is my elder brother, Dean. The Empress of the Fan Prefecture, Yun Feiqing, laughed softly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with admiration as she looked into the palace. Swish! Within the palace, a middle-aged man slowly walked out. He was dressed in black robes, appearing mysterious and majestic. On his back, he carried a broadsword that was wrapped in black cloth. His slender figure seemed to contain boundless strength. When they looked at his appearance again, it caused the eyes of the countless females present to burn with passion. His features were as clear as a sculpture, and his features were clearly defined. His face was exceptionally handsome, and his external appearance seemed unrestrained and unrestrained. However, the light in his eyes caused others to not dare to underestimate him. Especially under his sword-like eyebrows, there was a pair of gentle eyes. His nose was tall, and his lips were moderately thick. At this moment, a dazzling smile could be seen on his face. Gentleman Een of the immortal martial region, from the D clan of the Paragon Taoist sect. His talent is unrivaled, and he is the number 1 person in the past thousands of years, truly worthy of the title of gentleman. His bearing is graceful, his appearance is handsome, and his talent is outstanding. He is also the unshakable number 1 expert in the immortal martial region for thousands of years. Heavens! This Dean is too strong, too unsurpassable. Many experts of the younger generation shook their heads and sighed in their hearts. Even the saint children and emperors felt that they were inferior to Dean. When they looked at the saintesses, emperors, and daughters of the various factions, their beautiful eyes were rippling with extraordinary splendor, and they were filled with fanatical admiration. Everyone has come from afar to wait here. I, Dean, am truly ashamed to accept this. Dean shook his head lightly. His expression was filled with gratitude as he cupped his fists and bowed to all the experts who had come. Regardless of whether it was the younger generation, the older generation, or even the experts who had broken through the seal, they were all treated equally. His attitude instantly caused many experts to exclaim in admiration and respect. In terms of strength, no one present was a match for him. In terms of influence, many of the peak factions present were even less of a match for the Sovereign Tao sect. In terms of age, talent, and aptitude, no one could compare to him. Even so, Dean was still able to treat others so respectfully. He was truly worthy of the title of gentleman. Sect Master Dean, please don't do this. How can we accept such great respect? In an instant, the numerous experts bowed in return. Their expressions were filled with heartfelt admiration. Roar, roar. Suddenly, a roar sounded, and it immediately caused many experts to be shocked. However, when they saw a huge crimson beast walk out of the palace, they instantly calmed down. It was a crimson beast with 4 white wings on its back. It had a total of 6 legs and no face. As soon as it appeared, it went to Di Yin's side and crouched down like an obedient baby. Ferocious beast, Hun Dun. The leader of the four great ferocious beasts has really been subdued by Diin. Many experts were filled with admiration. The four great ferocious beasts were all evil creatures. Since Diin was able to tame them so obediently, it naturally caused others to be even more respectful towards him. At the same time, above the star sea, the dragon swarm floated in the air. Wang Kai, Diin has broken through the seal. Suddenly, a strange look flashed across Jing Xian's beautiful eyes. She flipped her hand and took out a simple black token that was flickering with a black light. Swoosh! As soon as she said that, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He, who was originally lying on the golden dragon throne, suddenly sat up and crossed his legs. He narrowed his eyes and sneered. Has he finally broken through the seal? Bin Xiao has been waiting for you for so long. Pretentious fool. If I don't beat you up until you cry for your parents, Bin Xiao will not be able to live up to the name of bragging god. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Thank you, D. Renjia, for the tip. There will be a huge explosion before the 20th. Thank you for your support. Welcome to the group. Look at the group description. Chapter 331. Can't win? Upon hearing the notification, Wang Kai's brows twitched. But after thinking about it, it was true. Diin was ranked number 1 on the myriad immortal rankings, and even the matriarch of the Fan Prefecture could only be ranked number 2. His cultivation base must surely be at the peak of the immortal Emperor realm. Diin is definitely at the peak of the immortal Emperor realm. What grudge do you have with him? Jing Xian's beautiful eyes flashed as she asked in astonishment. Lung Feng, Qin Ren, and the others also had puzzled looks on their faces as they stared at Wang Kai. With regards to Diin's name, they naturally had heard of it before. Wang Kai casually shrugged his shoulders as a calm smile appeared on his face. He can only blame himself for being too pretentious. Other than Bin Xiao, who else would dare to accept the title of a number 1 expert in the immortal martial domain for thousands of years? Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. The reward is 10,000 experience points, bragging points plus 10. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking through and reaching the 5th grade of the Immortal King realm. Pucci. As the sound of his voice faded, Jing Xian covered her face and laughed. Her beautiful eyes gleamed as she stared at Wang Kai. If Jing Xian wants to reach the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm, it's not difficult. The reason why I haven't broken through now is because I want to condense my 2nd Yuan Spirit clone. After I obtain the 2nd Origin Spirit pill, let's snatch the title of the number 1 expert in the immortal martial domain together. Swish! Such words caused Lung Feng, Qin Ren, and Bai He to be speechless to the extreme. They truly didn't expect that even the holy maiden of the sovereign Tao Gate, Jing Xian, would have such thoughts, as expected of a man and woman passionately in love. He, my beautiful Jing Xian, is still the best. Don't worry, this time around, Bin Xiao will definitely snatch the 2nd Origin Spirit pill for you. Wang Kai grinned with satisfaction. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. The reward is 10,000 experience points, bragging points plus 10. Pada. As the sound of his voice faded, under Jing Xian's astonished gaze, Wang Kai actually cupped her cheeks with both hands and directly planted a kiss on her soft red lips. Bastard, you're not serious at all. Jing Xuan's pretty face was slightly red, and her beautiful eyes panicked as she turned her head away. Such a scene made Lin Hanyue's eyes darken. She sighed in her heart. Master Wang is such a magnanimous man. Only Jing Xian is worthy of him. Eldest senior brother, the whereabouts of the sovereign Taoist sect are unpredictable. It will be extremely difficult to find Diin. Of course, as the saintess of the sovereign Taoist sect, if you are willing to tell us the exact location of the sovereign Taoist sect. Kanrin licked his lips and spoke with a rather sinister expression. Upon hearing this, Wang Kai also looked towards Jing Xian. The 6 provinces and 1 island were vast. If Di did not appear, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to find him. Many forces from the 6 states and one island have already gone to welcome the Martial State's supreme mountain, Jing Xian said softly. Whoosh! These words immediately caused Kenren's face to stiffen. He exchanged glances with Lung Feng, and both of them felt extremely stunned. Who would have thought that Jing Xian would really help Wang Kai go against the Supreme Tao sect? They originally thought that Jing Xian was joking. After all, she was the saintess of the Supreme Tao sect. From the looks of it now, it was most likely true. How long does it take to travel from the Sun Moon Island to the Martial State? Wang Kai shrugged and asked with an indifferent expression. Lung Feng and Kenren glanced at each other before finally turning their gazes towards Baihe. As a native of the Sun Moon Island, Baihe was naturally the clearest of them all. Cough, cough. It will take 3 months to reach the Wu province from here. It will take 2 months to reach the Wu province from the Sun Moon Island's Pill domain to the Star Luo Sea. It will only take 1 month to reach the Wu province from there using a spatial formation from the Pill domain to the Weapon domain and then to the Wu province, Baihe said with an unnatural expression. So long. Wang Kai was a little speechless when he heard that. He couldn't help but shrug and said with a regretful expression, Forget it. I'll let that pretentious Diin live for a few more days. This is a gift from Ben Shao. And let's go to the Sun Moon Island to participate in the Misty Lamp Riddle. After we get the second Origin Spirit Pill, we'll head towards a Weapon domain and the Martial State. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. The few of them nodded. This was the only thing they could do now. Little did they know that Wang Kai had another plan in his heart. Dian's strength had reached the peak of the immortal Emperor realm. The Supreme Tao sect that he controlled was definitely not weak. From what Jing Xian said about the various powers of the Martial State coming to welcome him, it could be seen how strong the Supreme Tao sect and Dian's position was in the immortal martial domain. Since that was the case, why not obtain the 2 ruins of the Sun Moon Island first to increase his strength? More importantly, he could obtain a huge amount of spiritual stones to supply the 10,000 formation restriction diagram. Only by being perfectly prepared could he put on a perfect act of pretentiousness. Otherwise, if he went to the Supreme Tao sect without thinking, wouldn't he be courting death? Wang Kai was definitely unwilling to do such a stupid thing. 10 days later, the dragon traversing heaven's carriage flew across the sky. It came to the border of the Pill region and stopped at a shore. Swoosh! When Wang Kai and the others landed, the dragon traversing heaven's carriage was also kept into the heaven-reaching tower. You all should cultivate diligently in the heaven-reaching tower. If Ben Shao sees you again and you haven't reached the level of a Saint Emperor, then you can wait to be skinned alive. Wang Kai shrugged and said calmly, Yes, young Master Kai. Prince Jin Duo and the Dragonflower Crown Prince trembled when they heard that. They hurriedly responded and were kept into the heaven-reaching tower. Lung Feng, were you killed here? Wang Kai had his hands behind his back as he looked at a pavilion on the shore. Under his spirit, he found that the strongest cultivator inside was only a mere great emperor. Swoosh! Lung Feng nodded slightly. He flipped his hand and pulled out a long sword. He turned around and walked towards the pavilion with a cold face. Looks like the Li family's direct descendant, Li Kanglin, isn't here. Forget it, I won't fight with Big Brother for the prey. Kenren wiped his bald head and laughed ferociously. It's you. Why are you still alive? What are you doing? Ah. Rumble. Rumble. In an instant, screams and screams rang out from the pavilion. Then, the pavilion collapsed with a loud bang, shattering into pieces and turning into ruins. Is it so troublesome for a Saint Emperor to kill a great emperor? It's not as swift and decisive as Ben Shao. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Palm print 8 desolation. Buzz. Rumble. Crash. Suddenly, Wang Kai flipped his palm and slammed it down. High up in the sky, a huge cyan palm print slammed into the star-shifting sea. As the waves fell, hundreds of massive sea demons floated up to the surface, all of them dead. This was the result of Wang Kai deliberately holding back. Otherwise, how could those sea demons who were only at the Saint Realm survive? Which sea demon has your body? Wang Kai asked with a calm smile with his hands behind his back. Lung Feng frowned. After sensing for a while, he turned his head to look at the central area of the pill region and said coldly, "It's not here anymore. It's in the northwest direction." Chapter 332. If it's in the northwest direction, it means that the sea monster that swallowed Brother Lung's corpse has reached the Saint Emperor level and is extremely talented. It has already transformed into a human form and is protecting a member of the Li clan. Bai said after thinking for a while. Lung Feng frowned and said coldly, "That's good. Let's kill it together. Brother Lung, a Saint Emperor level sea monster, with your underworld cultivation." Cough cough, of course, I'm not looking down on you. You should know that alchemists use pills to forcefully raise the cultivation of sea monsters. Moreover, sea monsters that are brought out of the Star Sea by the Li clan are not weaker than the princes and princesses of the major powers. It's only natural that they can break through to the immortal martial realm. Bai he reminded with good intentions. Lung Feng and Can Ren were both Saint Emperors and had yet to reach the peak. Even emperors among saints couldn't defeat them, let alone sea monsters that might reach the immortal martial realm. Moreover, if they went to the northwest direction, they would definitely have to face the Li clan. Even if Lung Feng and Can Ren were talented enough, it wouldn't be as fast as using pills to forcefully raise their cultivation. It's fine. He's still here. Lung Feng glanced at Wang Kai and said coldly. Can Ren also wiped his bald head and licked his lips. He smiled sinisterly and said, "With senior brother here, what can a mere immortal martial realm do?" Whoosh! Bai's mouth twitched when he heard that. Indeed, with Wang Kai who didn't even fear celestial emperors, a mere immortal martial realm cultivator didn't have much destructive power. Moreover, with Wang Kai's style, he even dared to challenge the supreme Taoist sect. Naturally, the Li clan wouldn't be a problem. Thinking of this, Bai he lamented in his heart, "Heavens, when can I escape from this sea of bitterness? If I continue to mess around with them, won't I not have long to live?" Ha, you're right. With Ben Shao's extraordinary beauty and wisdom, why would he be afraid of a merely clan? Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. White River felt even more bitter when he heard this. He thought to himself, this is really what I want to happen. With Wang Kai's fearless personality, he'll surely fight to the death with the Li clan this time, right? No, I have to find a way to escape. Bai he furrowed his brows and quickly thought about it. Finally, his eyes lit up as he said, "Brother Wang, the northwest direction is where the Li clan is. The Misty Lantern Mystery Festival will also be held within the Li clan's territory. If we rush over from here, even if we take a carriage, it will take a few days to reach." All right, what are you trying to say? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Wang Kai impatiently waved his hand. Bai he smiled awkwardly and hurriedly said, "There should be a Bai family equipment forging shop in a nearby town. There should be a space array in the shop. If we use the space array, we can instantly reach the territory of the Li family." Bai family? Equipment forging shop? Wang Kai raised his brows when he heard this. He put his hands behind his back and said with a mocking smile, Bai he, Gu Bingning is not here, and you want to escape? Haha, you'd better not have such thoughts. Otherwise, Ben Xiao doesn't mind going to your Bai family for a stroll." Swoosh! Bai's face stiffened when he heard this. He forced a smile and said, No, Brother Wang, you misunderstood. You misunderstood. Even though the Bai family had a good position in the weapon region, it was not at the level of a peak force. However, the red refining sect that Bai he was in was a peak force. However, as the saying goes, distant water cannot put out a nearby fire. If he cannot escape, how could he deal with Wang Kai? Pill region, Spirit Pill City. It was a town located at the border of the Pill region. The alchemists in this town were all of low cultivation. The strongest was only at the quasi-emperor level. Looking at the alchemists coming and going, they were all wearing white alchemist robes. They walked with their heads held high and their chests puffed out. Their expressions were quite arrogant. Are all alchemists so pretentious? Wang Kai shrugged and stared at the alchemists with an unfriendly gaze. It was as if everyone was inferior to them. What was even more infuriating was that the martial cultivators were extremely respectful to the alchemists. They would even take the initiative to make way for them when they met. There were even many alchemists who were followed by cultivators from various states. Their cultivation levels were clearly higher, but they acted like servants and guards. The alchemist status in the 6 states and 1 island is often like this. Brother Wang, don't mind it. Bai wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said with a stiff smile. Although the alchemist's combat strength was not high, and the cultivators behind them were definitely not Wang Kai's match, Bai really did not want Wang Kai to cause trouble. After all, the elixir region's influence was very complicated. If he provoked one alchemist, it was possible that the other alchemists would not concoct pills for him. It was precisely because so many alchemists were united against outsiders that the arrogant nature of alchemists was born. Wang Kai was the master of the dustless fire, so naturally, he did not need to rely on others to concoct pills. However, Bai he did. If he followed Wang Kai, wouldn't he be like a fish in the moat? However, what Bai he was worried about still happened. Wang Kai was sitting on Niu Zhetian's back. He raised his arm and pointed at the alchemists in front of him. He said indifferently, "All of you, get out of the way. Bin Xiao is on his way. You insignificant kids who play with fire have the nerve to block his way? Don't you know that Bin Xiao is the ancestor of playing with fire? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." "Papa," Niu Zhetian snorted and said disdainfully, "Little boy Wang is right. You're just a bunch of useless alchemists. How dare you stand in front of Master Niu? Do you want to die? Get out of the way, or Master Niu will kick you all to death." Shua! The alchemists stopped, and their faces turned green. They turned around and looked at Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian with an unfriendly expression. This was especially true of the martial cultivators from the various provinces who had followed the guards. At this moment, they were even more enraged. Without another word, they charged towards Wang Kai. Naturally, they would not let go of such a great opportunity to display their strength and obtain the benefits of being an alchemist. "It's over." Bai smiled bitterly. He wanted to find a hole to hide in so that the alchemists would not notice him. However, Wang Kai's words had angered all the alchemists. It was impossible for him to hide from their cold gazes. "You call yourselves alchemists? It's just some lousy pills. Do you need to lower yourself and grovel?" Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. He waved his hand and released an oppressive aura. Buzz! Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the cultivators who had rushed over were blown away by the oppressive aura. Some of the alchemists coughed up blood and fell to the ground. "You alchemists are even more infuriating. Bin Xiao is here, and you dare to act like this? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Bin Xiao has the dustless fire, and his pills must be of the highest quality. Has Bin Xiao ever told anyone about this? Don't he know what it means to be low-key?" Wang Kai snorted coldly. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." When Bai He heard these words, he held his forehead with his hand and muttered speechlessly, "Aren't you telling them that you have the dustless flame? Are you trying to be low-key? In the end, you just don't want to see other people act like they are bad ****. Chapter 333. You are Wang Kai, the holy son of the Endless Treasures Pavilion. Gosh, it must be him. Isn't his mount a demonic bull? He is Niu Zhetian, the great demon of the Black Tortoise Mountain. It is said that no one can hurt him. He killed the imperial princes of the 4 great families of the martial continent and the imperial princes of the myriad demons' palace. They are all top celestial sects. So what? In the Peacock tribe, he dared to challenge the Celestial Emperor and even kill the Celestial King. Is the woman next to him the Celestial Emperor, Jing Xian, who killed the Celestial Emperor of the Peacock tribe? The Holy Virgin of the Supreme Taoism sect? Gosh, why did this scourge come to the Elixir region? What does he want to do? Wang Kai, the god of bragging, is full of evil. Wherever he goes, there will be nothing left. Run. Swoosh. The expressions of the many cultivators and alchemists changed abruptly. All of them swallowed a mouthful of saliva and immediately turned around to run. Even those alchemists were no longer arrogant at this moment. Like mice that had seen a cat, they immediately ran away. Even though the alchemists had a high status, they would not have a good ending when they met a scourge like Wang Kai. The streets that were originally packed with people were now empty. Gusts of cold wind blew past, making it seem like a dead city. The pill domain. I'm afraid it's over. Bai He sighed, feeling rather speechless. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Even Yo Zhetian was stunned. Wang Kai, the god of bragging, is full of evil. Wherever he goes, there will be nothing left. Who is it that had such foresight to leave behind such a reputation for this young master? Wang Kai muttered with a surprised expression. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Smack, smack, smack. Neo Zhetian snorted and said proudly, He, the great demon of the Black Tortoise Mountain, Neo Zhetian. I didn't expect Master Neo to be so famous. Little did they know that Wang Kai and Neo Zhetian's names had spread across the 6 prefectures and the island a few days ago. Looking at the man and the cow smirking foolishly, Jing Xian immediately pursed her lips and chuckled. A mere alchemist is just SOSO. Your level of acting tough is too low. You're simply not on the same level as this young master. Just by knowing this young master's name, you're already scared witless. Such a useless piece of trash actually has the nerve to go out and act tough. It seems that the pill domain is just a fart. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed with emotion. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Smack, smack, smack. Neo Zhetian snorted and said, Compared to Master Neo, you are still too young. Bai He rolled his eyes when he heard Neo Zhetian's words. They were just at the border of the Elixir region. Naturally, no one could be stronger than Neo Zhetian. If they went to the Leaf family in the northwest, no, if he continues to brag like this, I will not live long. Bai He thought to himself. He was very eager to leave as soon as possible. In the Bai family shop, when Wang Kai and the others followed Bai He into the shop assistant immediately greeted them respectfully. Master Bai, how come you have time to? Before the young shop assistant could finish his words, Bai He waved his hand and interrupted him. Quickly take us to the space array. Bai He's back was facing Wang Kai and the others as he gave the shop assistant a look. As soon as he finished speaking, his lips moved again, but no sound came out. Yes, Master Bai, this way please. The young shop assistant's eyes lit up when he saw this. He quickly gestured respectfully. As Wang Kai and the rest entered a room in the backyard of the weapons crafting shop, an octagonal space array platform came into view. It was the same as the space array in the Demon Continent's treasure trove pavilion. There was a 7-colored space stone in the center of the array. However, this space stone was much smaller than the one in the treasure trove pavilion. Moreover, the array was only big enough for one person to stand on. If the array was not like this, Wang Kai would definitely think that Bai He was deliberately playing tricks. Brother Wang, only one person can use the space array at a time to instantly jump to the Leaf family's Elixir celestial domain, Bai He said with a smile. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard this. He glanced at Bai He with a playful expression and shrugged. It's so simple. Swoosh. Then, under Bai He's shocked gaze, Wang Kai flipped his hand and kept Lung Feng into the heaven-reaching tower. Following closely behind, Jing Xian did the same. Brother Bai, you should go in too. Wang Kai smiled playfully. Before Bai He could respond, he grabbed him and threw him into the heaven-reaching tower with great force. Plop! On the second level of the heaven-reaching tower, Bai He looked at the azure sea with a stunned expression. He wanted to stop his body, but he could not resist Wang Kai's strength and fell into the sea of mind. Crash! Bai He stepped into the air, drenched. He raised his hand to wipe his face and cursed with an ugly expression. Bastard! Wang Kai is such a bully. I didn't want to do anything to him. I just secretly told the shop assistant to send a message to Miss Gu. Do you need to treat me like this? Sir, my young master, the young shop assistant asked nervously. Wang Kai waved his hand and smiled casually. It's okay. He's safe. Ben Xiao invited him to take a bath. Take a bath? The young shop assistant was stunned. He saw that his young master was extremely respectful to this young man, so he did not dare to be presumptuous. He immediately said, Sir, please, please. Old Niu, who will go first, Ben Xiao or you? Wang Kai shrugged and asked playfully. If Niu Zhetian had wanted to enter the heaven-reaching tower, he would not have had to go through so much trouble. Bang! Niu Zhetian snorted and said disdainfully, You want to go first? You're talking as if there's a beautiful woman on the stage. How vulgar. Buzz! Niu Zhetian raised his head and wagged his tail as he stood on the platform. After a flash of light, he disappeared. Wang Kai's face darkened. He stepped on the platform and sneered. It seems that if I don't teach you a lesson, you won't know who's the boss. Buzz! When Wang Kai's figure also disappeared, the young shop assistant wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and hurriedly ran out of the room. Miss Gu, you must save the young master. Inside the shop, a young shop assistant was holding a jade token that was shining brightly. I don't care. An angry voice came out of the jade tablet. The young shop assistant was stunned. After knowing who Bai He was with, Gu Bingning couldn't care less. Just based on the characteristics of the man and the cow, it was enough for her to know that it must be that despicable Wang Kai. Chapter 334. In the Celestial Dan Domain. In the Celestial Dan City, in the Bai clan's weapon crafting shop, there were 7 or 8 strong cultivators looking at the monster ox who had appeared on the platform. Who gave you the guts to look at Grandpa Niu like that? Get lost. Bang bang. Niu Zhetian snorted and raised his head disdainfully. He walked down the platform. Where did this monster ox come from? Not only did he use our Bai clan space platform, but he also dared to act so presumptuously. The other experts of the Bai family also looked gloomy. Just as they were about to use the space array platform, a bull demon suddenly appeared before them. How could they let an outsider use their own space platform? Moreover, it was a monster ox. They had thought that the monster ox was acquainted with someone from the Bai clan. That was why they had let him use the space platform. Who would have thought that the monster ox would be so arrogant? Humph. Master Ox is afraid that you will beg for mercy. Niu Zhetian snorted disdainfully. He raised his head and looked at them from the corner of his eyes. Hiss hiss. Such words and such an arrogant attitude immediately caused the leading young man and the other experts to fly into a rage. Presumptuous. Someone come in. Buzz. Bang. Suddenly, the space platform flashed again. When Wang Kai appeared, he kicked Niu Zhetian and sent him flying. The young man was even more speechless. He was sent flying by Niu Zhetian. He bit his tongue so hard that it bled. Crack! The door of the crafting shop was smashed into smithereens. The other powerhouses of the Bai family were stunned by this scene. Bang bang! Niu Zhetian snorted and stood up on his 4 hooves. He rushed in with his horns on his head and shouted, Little Wang, you've gone too far. Bang! Bang bang! My hand. No, my leg. The young man covered his mouth and tried to stand up, but before he could, Niu Zhetian stepped on him. The sound of bones breaking and the horrible shriek of the young man filled the air. All living beings, whoosh. However, when Wang Kai raised his hand and turned it into a knife, Niu Zhetian was so scared that he stopped. He bent his body and moved 7 or 8 meters forward. Little boy, why don't you use that despicable skill of yours and fight me? Niu Zhetian snorted coldly. Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this. With his hands behind his back, he smiled indifferently and said, I'm sorry, Bin Xiao doesn't have the habit of torturing bulls, especially one with thick skin like yours. It's more fun to cut you up. Papa. Neoja Tian snorted and glared at the young man. He was so angry that he could only look at the young man who was rolling on the ground and screaming. Who told you to act tough in front of me? Who told you to act tough? Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Under Neoja Tian's relentless stomps, the young man's body was completely damaged. His legs were twisted and distorted. In the end, he convulsed in pain and fainted on the spot. Old bull, didn't this young master teach you many times that you have to be kind to others and that you have to be humble? Bin Xiao is a kind and virtuous gentleman. How can you endure this? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and shook his head helplessly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th level of the Celestial King stage. Bastards, bastards, who are you? How dare you behave so atrociously in the shop of the Bai clan? You deserve to die. Do you know who that young man is? He is the Imperial Prince of the Bai clan, Bai Dong. Why are you still talking nonsense with them? It doesn't matter who used the teleportation platform. They will die. Swish. In a flash, the strong cultivators attacked Neoja Tian and Wang Kai from two sides. The Imperial Prince of the Bai clan? You can't even defeat old Neo. How dare you call yourself the Imperial Prince? Wang Kai looked at them disdainfully and waved his hand. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the strong cultivators of the Bai clan, as well as the strong cultivators who were attacking Neoja Tian, were blown away and coughed up blood. The shop, which had been in good condition before, was now in ruins. Celestial martial artist. Who are you? Cough, cough. The 7 or 8 Saint Realm experts were all staring at Wang Kai in horror. All of them were lying on the ground with heavy injuries, clutching their chests tightly as their bodies twitched. They did not even have the strength to stand up. Bang, bang. Before Wang Kai could say anything, Neoja Tian snorted and said disdainfully, Great demon of the Black Tortoise Mountain, I am Neoja Tian. Swish. As soon as he said that, the strong cultivators of the Bai clan were shocked. Great demon of the Black Tortoise Mountain, Neoja Tian. Isn't that Wang Kai's mount? Are you? God, it's Wang Kai. Plop. Under Wang Kai's stunned gaze, the several masters from the Bai family fainted on the spot, their eyes filled with despair and fear as if they were on the verge of death. Is Bin Xiao really that terrifying? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and sighed with a speechless expression. At first, he thought that the title was not bad. Now, it seemed that he completely understood why the place he passed by was barren. He was afraid that the cultivators of the 6 prefectures and 1 island would see him as a bloodthirsty devil. In fact, it was exactly so. Everything Wang Kai had done was shocking to the extreme. In the eyes of the world, Wang Kai was a murderous demon. He was a complete scourge who didn't care about anything, no matter how powerful or noble the other party was. As long as they provoked him, they would not have a good ending. The Battle of Dragon Mountain had given the world a clear understanding of Wang Kai. After all, none of the strong cultivators who went to kill Wang Kai survived. Even the elder of the Trove of Treasures Pavilion, who tried to stop him, could not escape. From this, it could be seen how ruthless Wang Kai was. Wang Kai sneered disdainfully. As the saying goes, public opinion is harmful. Today he had seen it. They didn't know the actual situation, but they spread false rumors and became more and more intense. But it's fine. A bad reputation is a bad reputation. As the saying goes, it's better to let 10,000 people hate you than to let no one curse you. Looking at the world for tens of thousands of years, which hero didn't kill? If you dare to show off in front of Bin Xiao, even if the Heavenly King himself comes, you will definitely die here. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Chapter 335. Who is that young man? How dare he offend the Bai clan of the Weapon region? Truly, a newborn calf is not afraid of a tiger. Although the Bai family is only a second-rate force in the Weapon region, I heard that a direct descendant of the Bai family has joined the Peak Force, the Scarlet Refining Sect. Since he came to find trouble with the Bai family, he might be a hothead who just came out of train, right? Don't be so sure. Have you forgotten? The Ethereal Anariddle Festival is going to be held the day after tomorrow. The elders of the Bai family who are guarding this place have already rushed to the Ethereal Mountain. This young man deliberately chose this juncture to find trouble. Can he still be considered bold, but not astute? You're right. However, there's an 80% chance that the Bai clan will not let this youngster off. Sigh. He's so young, but he's able to make a Saint King powerless. It's such a pity that he dies so early. Haha, look, there's a monster ox next to him. A monster ox. What? A monster ox? F***K. Is that the scourge? How is that possible? Wang Kai, the holy son of the Ju Bao building, is still in the monster continent. Wang Kai walked out of the Bai clan shop with his hands clasped behind his back. Many of the cultivators who had come to watch started whispering to each other. They were especially surprised by Niu Zhetian. You're right. Ben Shao is Wang Kai. Wang Kai stopped walking and looked at them playfully. Slap. Niu Zhetian snorted and said disdainfully, Yes, I'm Niu Zhetian. Whoosh. The cultivators and alchemists' faces stiffened when they heard that. They looked at Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian in a daze. While Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian were waiting for them to run away, they suddenly burst into laughter. Haha, he said he's Wang Kai. That monster ox also said he's Niu Zhetian from the Black Tortoise Mountain. It's really interesting. Young people these days are really learning everything they can. That's right. Even if you want to impersonate him, shouldn't you impersonate the Supreme Taoist sect Master Diyin? For example, a humble gentleman like Diyin, the number one character in the immortal martial realm for thousands of years. Wouldn't it be even more lethal if he impersonated him? Sigh. It's really hard for us to understand the thoughts of young people. You just have to pretend to be a devil who kills without batting an eyelid. Your notoriety has already spread throughout the 6 provinces and 1 island. What's there to impersonate? Brother, your words are wrong. Sect leader Diyin is the number 1 expert of the immortal martial region in the past thousands of years. In the outside world, he is also known as the Gentleman Yin of the immortal martial region, the leader of the Paragon Dao sect, the D clan. Compared to Wang Kai, who left nothing alive wherever he passed, if he pretended to be the former, wouldn't he quickly be hunted down and killed by the people of the world? That's right. Sect leader Diyin treats people fairly and righteously. If anyone dares to impersonate him, let alone the people of the world, even the old man would kill that impersonator. Hearing their endless discussions, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed into slits. His face was as black as ink, and he stared at them with an unfriendly expression. He was so angry that he laughed and said, The Gentleman Yin of the immortal martial region and the D clan of the Paragon Dao sect? Very awesome. That's awesome. Papa. Niu Zhetian snorted when he saw this. His big eyes were wide open as he looked at those experts with a mocking expression. Suddenly, he wagged his tail and walked to the side. He said in a muffled voice, You guys are done for. Done for? Haha, this young man and a monster ox are quite interesting. Impersonating Wang Kai when they go out actually looks so good. Bang. Pacha. However, before the middle-aged man could finish his words, Wang Kai sent him flying with a kick. The sound of bones shattering caused everyone's heart to violently jump. F***CKU, do you really think that Ben Shao has a good temper? Not only did you give Ben Shao a bad name, you even compared that pretentious Diyin to Ben Shao. Does he even have the right to do so? Do you know that he used to be Ben Shao's servant thousands of years ago? Wang Kai snorted with a dark face. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. What Wang Kai couldn't stand the most was Diyin's reputation. How could he be called a gentleman? the embodiment of justice. Instead, he had become a negative, murderous demon, a villain. Even the guard of the Leaf family's elder, the Injustice Saint, was severely injured in an instant. The Injustice Saint is an emperor among the saints. Many experts sucked in a breath of cold air as they looked at Wang Kai in shock. Plop! The middle-aged man fell from the sky. His body bounced a few times before he spat out blood and pointed at Wang Kai. He stammered, Xian Wu. You are Wang Kai. What? Wang Kai. He's real. Swoosh. When these words were spoken, it immediately caused many experts to feel suffocated. Their originally shocked faces were now covered with despair and fear. There were even some whose bodies were trembling. The guard of the Leaf family's elder? Injustice Saint? Injustice? Ben Shao will beat you up today. What injustice are you feeling? Do you dare to feel injustice? Wang Kai scolded with a dark face. He immediately walked to the middle-aged man's side and sent him flying with a kick. Bang! Wah! Elder Injustice's face turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was like a meteor as he was sent flying into the sky. In the end, he disappeared into the clouds. When everyone saw this, they gasped. Falling from such a height and with such serious injuries, even if he did not die, he was destined to be crippled. He was indeed the devil Wang Kai. Ben Shao is in a bad mood now, so all of you kneel on the ground. If anyone dares to run away, you will end up like the Bullsh *T Injustice Saint. Wang Kai snorted coldly with an unfriendly look. Whoosh! Plop! Plop! Suddenly, a series of kneeling sounds could be heard. The hundreds of powerful people present knelt on the ground as if they had been pardoned. They were not ashamed or angry, nor did they feel that there was anything wrong with it. After all, under the influence of Wang Kai's notoriety, it would be best if they did not die. However, there were still 3 alchemists who did not kneel. The 3 alchemists were young, around 20 years old. All of them were handsome and noble. Why are you not kneeling? Do you think that Ben Shao is making fun of you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and stared at them unkindly. However, the 3 young alchemists did not say anything. One of the young alchemists stepped forward and said, Li family's direct descendant, Li Tsongwan. Li family's direct descendant, Li Tsongyi. Li family's direct descendant, Li Tsongjie. Then the other 2 young alchemists stepped forward and introduced themselves. Li family? When Wang Kai heard this, his eyes narrowed slightly. The smile on his face suddenly became bright. He shrugged and said with a mocking smile, You are the direct descendant of the Leaf family, the number 1 family in the Pill region, right? Coincidentally, Ben Shao wants to discuss some matters with your Leaf family. However, before that, the 3 of you should kneel down before Ben Shao and talk to him. Superb bragging system. QQ discussion group. 326077524. Fellow cultivators, please join the group and brag. Chapter 336. Holy Sun Wang, you are indeed powerful. You have reached the immortal martial realm at such a young age. However, you cannot afford to offend any force. Li Tsongwan said coldly. Li Tsongyi, who was also a direct descendant of the Li family, stood with his hands behind his back. He said proudly, Just like the Li family, we are forces that you cannot afford to offend. Humph! Don't compare the pantheon of demons with the Leaf family. Even though the pantheon of demons is a top force, it is only one of the top forces in the 6 states and 1 island. You managed to survive by offending the pantheon of demons. If you offend the Leaf family, do you know the consequences? Li Tsongjie sneered. Smack! Neoja Tian snorted and said disdainfully, Little Wang, they seem to be more pretentious than you. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at them playfully. He chuckled and said, Are you implying that the Leaf family is more powerful than the pantheon of demons? TSK, Ben Shao would like to know what makes the Leaf family so powerful. Tell me, if you can't satisfy Ben Shao, you can all die here. The three direct descendants of the Leaf family looked at each other and sneered disdainfully. They thought that Wang Kai was afraid, which was why he did not attack directly. Instead, he was wary of the Leaf family's power. The demon court of the demon state, the pantheon of demons, the blissful Buddhist temple, and the joyful Buddhist temple of the Buddhist state, the underworld of the underworld, the Gu family, and the Luyan family of the spiritual state, the four great families of the martial state, the Sun Moon Island, the Red Refining sect of the Weapon region, and many other top forces have deep ties with the Leaf family. As long as the Leaf family says that we will kill you, Wang Kai, they will hunt you down until you die. Li Tsongwan sneered arrogantly. The supreme Taoist sect and the Endless Treasures Pavilion behind, you also have deep ties with the Leaf family. Li Tsongyi sneered. Naturally, Li Tsongjie was not willing to fall behind. It was as if he felt a great sense of accomplishment after speaking of the Leaf family's ability. He immediately took a step forward and smiled proudly. Even if we don't count those peak forces with the might of my Leaf family, it's enough for all the rogue cultivators in the world to kill you. However, there's no need for such trouble. After all, Holy Sun Wang is the Holy Sun of the Endless Treasures Pavilion. The Endless Treasures Pavilion, will definitely consider my Leaf family's face and execute you, right? Hiss. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Wang Kai's shocked and terrified expression. He sucked in a breath of cold air and said with a shocked expression, "The Leaf family is actually so awesome. You can even command the peak powers of the immortal martial domain." Upon seeing Wang Kai's appearance, the experts kneeling on the ground were all stunned. They looked at each other, feeling a little strange. Is he still the same ruthless demon? Is he still the scourge who doesn't fear authority and fights when he is unhappy? Cough, cough. Shouldn't we get up? This is embarrassing. Were we afraid of with the Leaf family here? Swoosh. The numerous experts all smacked their lips as they slowly stood up from the ground. When they looked at Wang Kai again, their faces were already filled with disdain. The legendary murderous devil Wang Kai is nothing more than this. The three direct descendants of the Li clan had gained enough face at this moment. Immediately, the leader, Li Tsongwan, waved his hand and said, "Everyone disperse. This king is only SOSO. The rumors from the outside cannot be trusted." That's right. No matter how powerful he is in other places, in the pill domain of the Sun Moon Island, the territory of the Li family, he is a dragon and a tiger. Li Tsongyi sneered. Clap, clap. Neoja Tian snorted and laughed mockingly. You will know that standing up from the ground is something you will regret for the rest of your lives. Whoosh! The moment these words were spoken, everyone's expression changed slightly. They hurriedly looked at Wang Kai, only to see that Wang Kai's current expression was an inexplicable smile. Where was the fearful expression from before? Unfortunately, what I like the most is to beat up awesome people, just like you all. And the Li clan is naturally one of them. You're just relying on your alchemy skills to hook up with many forces. What's there to show off about? Kneel. Wang Kai's tone suddenly became extremely cold as he finished speaking. Buzz. In an instant, an oppressive aura swept out from Wang Kai. The three direct descendants of the Li family spat out blood and were sent flying. Bang, bang, bang. The experts looked on in disbelief as the three direct descendants of the Li family fell to the ground. They clutched their chests and spat out blood. Their faces were as pale as paper. He actually attacked them. You, Wang Kai, aren't you afraid that the 6 prefectures and 1 island will hunt you down? Li Tsongwan shouted in shock. At this moment, Li Tsongyi and Li Tsongjie's eyes were filled with fear. They never thought that Wang Kai would actually dare to make a move. Was that fearful look from before all an act? Wang Kai, if you dare to be presumptuous, the 6 prefectures and 1 island will not let you live. Li Tsongyi shouted. Die. Buzz. Crack. Suddenly, Wang Kai raised his hand and slapped down. A green palm print pierced through the air and exploded Li Tsongwan's body. His body turned into a rain of blood and splattered on the ground. Hiss. Many experts gasped when they saw that. A chill ran from the soles of their feet to the top of their heads. Plop, plop, plop. Immediately after, the top powers knelt on the ground in fear. Their heads kept on kowtowing as they begged for mercy. Holy Sun Wong, we were blind. Please be magnanimous, swoosh. However, Wong Kai ignored them. His figure flashed, and he arrived in front of Li Tsang Yi and Li Tsang Jie. With his hands behind his back, he smiled faintly and said, "Is the Li family very powerful? You wanna awe?" Bang! Crack! Li Tsang Yi asked in a trembling voice. However, before he could finish, Wong Kai raised his leg and kicked his head. Plop! Li Tsang Yi's headless body fell to the ground. Blood continuously flowed out from his neck, causing his body to spin in circles on the ground. This scene caused everyone's hearts to beat violently. A chill ran down their spines, causing them to tremble. Only now did they understand that Wong Kai's ruthlessness was even greater than his reputation. Is the Li family very powerful? With his hands behind his back, Wong Kai looked mockingly at Li Tsang Jie and asked with a playful smile. Li Tsang Jie's body suddenly quivered when he heard this. He looked at the headless corpse that had fallen to the side and raised his hand to wipe off the blood that had splattered on his face. The pungent smell of blood caused his entire body to twitch violently. Bang, 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 bang. In an instant, Li Tsang Jie could no longer endure his fear. He prostrated himself on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. His mouth trembled as he said, "The Li family isn't powerful. You're powerful. The Li family isn't powerful. You're powerful. The Li family isn't powerful. You're powerful." Crack! However, Wong Kai raised his leg again and smashed Li Tsang Jie's head into pieces. It exploded on the ground like a watermelon. Since the Li family isn't as powerful as Ben Shao, why did you act so pretentiously? Do you want to die? Sigh. Ben Shao is merciful and always grants your requests. Since you want to die, Ben Shao will fulfill your wish. Wong Kai shrugged and smiled casually. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Chapter 337. The three direct descendants of the Li clan had all died. The emotions of the experts were mixed. What kind of status did the Li clan have in the Pill region? What kind of prestige did they have in the immortal martial domain? Now that they had met a fearless scourge like Wong Kai, it was useless no matter how powerful they were. Who is the Di-in you were talking about? Why have I never heard of Ben Shao before? Wong Kai raised his eyebrows and asked in surprise. Swoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the faces of all the experts froze. How could they still dare to speak well of Di-in? If they had the chance to do it all over again, they would rather not come here to watch the show. Holy Sun Wong, Di-in is the sect leader of the Supreme Tao sect. Although he has some talent, he is still far from being comparable to you. That's right, that's right. Holy Sun Wong, you don't have to care about Di-in. In my opinion, Di-in is a hypocrite. That's right. That hypocrite Di-in is nothing in front of you. Holy Sun Wong, the sect leader of the Supreme Tao sect? How can he be compared to Holy Sun Wong, who has made a name for himself? In an instant, the experts all spoke at once, praising and flattering Wong Kai. Although their expressions showed that they were lying, they had no choice but to do so in the face of death. However, even if he knew what they were planning, Wong Kai was still happy to hear it. With his hands behind his back, he nodded and said with a smile, You guys are quite perceptive. That bullsh asterisk T Supreme Taoist sect. Gentlemen, TSK. In front of me, he's just an ant. I can nail him to death with a spit. Don't you guys agree? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Yes. Holy Sun Wong is right. Holy Sun Wong, you are wrong. Swoosh. Suddenly, an ear-piercing voice rang out, causing the expressions of the experts to change. They glared at the young man, who spoke with ashen faces. They originally wanted to praise Wong Kai to gain a chance to live. Who would have thought that such a troublemaker would appear? If Wang Kai got angry, wouldn't they be implicated? Haha, I don't know. What do you mean? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at the young man with a playful expression. The young man looked to be in his early 20s. He was dressed in garish attire of red, green, blue, white, and black. His triangular eyes, in particular, flickered with bursts of light. Seeing this, Wang Kai couldn't help but think of the manager of the Treasure Trove Pavilion, Hao Run. This person must be very shrewd. As expected, the young man chuckled and said, "A mere Diyin is not even an ant in front of Holy Sun Wang. Why do you need to kill him with a spit? As long as Holy Sun Wang passes by him, you can shake him until he spits out blood and dies." Whoosh. When these words were spoken, the eyes of the numerous experts, who originally wished that they could strangle this young man to death, suddenly bulged when they heard this. Their faces were filled with extreme astonishment. They definitely didn't expect this young man to be so good at flattery. The numerous experts were filled with regret. Why didn't they think of such words earlier? However, when everyone thought that Wang Kai would definitely be happy, they saw an even more shocking scene. Wang Kai's face was as black as ink. He walked in front of the young man and lifted his leg to kick him away. He fiercely reprimanded, "Bastard, you dare to brag in front of Ben Xiao? Do you know that being too smart will cost you your life?" Plop! The young man immediately vomited blood and fell to the ground. His face was pale as he looked at Wang Kai in disbelief. He opened his mouth, but was speechless. He was truly shocked by Wang Kai's character. No matter how he thought about it, he would actually get angry because of this matter. Little did he know that Wang Kai, who was known as the god of bragging, would not allow others to brag in front of him. "Since all of you are so wise, this young master will spare your lives." Who asked this young master to be so kind and benevolent? However, you can avoid death, but you can't escape punishment. You're not allowed to use your cultivation base. You will kneel on the ground for 3 days and 3 nights. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled indifferently. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Under the stupefied gazes of the crowd, Wang Kai opened his mouth again and said, "Yes, while you are kneeling, you must shout that Diyin is Ben Xiao's grandson. The louder you shout, the better. Otherwise, Ben Xiao may come back at any time." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. After he finished speaking, the corners of the crowd's mouths twitched violently as they watched Wang Kai and Niu Zhetian leave. They looked at each other and could only shout loudly. "Diyin is Wang Kai's grandson. Diyin is Wang Kai's grandson, Papa." When Niu Zhetian heard those strong cultivators shouting, he snorted and said, "Little Wang, if you draw Diyin here, how are you going to stop him?" "Stop him? What a joke. Ben Xiao can tear the sky apart with one hand. Do you think he needs to stop him? One kick is enough. If one kick is not enough, 2 kicks will be enough. No matter what, Diyin will not have a good ending." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled disdainfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Niu Zhetian snorted disdainfully and said, "Little Wang, there are no outsiders here. Stop bragging in front of Master Niu. Hurry up and see if the cat has recovered. If he helps you, even if he can't kill Diyin, he can at least protect you." Hee, old Niu, you still don't know how strong Ben Xiao is. Diyin is insignificant. Why would he need help from others? At that time, if we meet, you'll see how this young master violently beats him up. What kind of gentleman is he? This young master will beat him until his face is full of holes, turning a gentleman into a madman. Wang Kai said with an indifferent smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Niu Zhetian looked at Wang Kai disdainfully. He shook his head and ignored him. With Wang Kai's personality, It was impossible for him to avoid Dean. Little Wong, where are we going now? The Ethereal Lantern Festival will be held the day after tomorrow. It will be held on the Misty Mountain. Should we go there now? Neojatian asked. He was drooling. It was obvious that Neojatian was very interested in the elixirs of the Ethereal Lantern Festival. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and shrugged. He then released Jing Xian, Lung Feng, Qin Ren, Lin Hantian, and his sister. Junior brother Lung, brother Lin, little sister Lin, let's go to the Leaf family. Grandpa Kai will take you to get your revenge. Wang Kai smiled proudly with his hands behind his back. Chapter 338. Presumptuous. Which scoundrel dares to behave atrociously in the Leaf family? A silver-robed elder walked out quickly with an ashen face. Behind him were dozens of powerful Sage Realm experts. When they came to the front of the mansion, they looked at the guards who were lying all over the place. The ferocious glint in their eyes intensified. Ben Xiao's name is Wang Kai. Wang Kai stood in front of the mansion with his hands behind his back. He looked at the silver-robed elder with an indifferent expression. Wang swoosh. The moment these words were spoken, the expression of the silver-robed old man suddenly changed. The eyes of the several dozen experts behind him were filled with fear. If it wasn't for the fact that the Leaf family was extremely powerful in their hearts, they would have fled long ago. However, even if they didn't flee, the worry in their hearts didn't lessen by much. Bastard! When did such a disaster come to the Pill region? Why did he choose to come when the immortal Emperor Old Ancestor and immortal Emperor Elders went to the Ethereal Mountain? The silver-robed elder frowned as he stared at Wang Kai with a cold glint in his eyes. As his gaze swept across, he saw the beautiful lady sitting on the back of a bull demon. His heart jumped violently as he thought to himself, could this lady be the saintess of the sovereign Dao sect, Jing Xian? Immortal Emperor Expert. Damn it, Wang Kai came prepared for such a disaster. Even though there were many immortal martial experts in the mansion, there wasn't a single one who had reached the immortal Emperor realm. How could they fight against Jing Xian, a dignified immortal emperor? Moreover, there was still Wang Kai, who wasn't afraid of immortal emperors, and a bull demon that no expert could hurt him. As he thought of this, many thoughts flashed through his mind. An extremely gentle smile suddenly appeared on the silver-robed elder's face. So it's Holy Sun Wang. Sorry for not coming out to meet you. Injustice Saint, why aren't you coming out to bring Holy Sun Wang to the main hall of the mansion to rest? The silver-robed elder smiled modestly. That smile was like a son meeting his father. Lord Injustice? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. Seeing him like this, he couldn't help but secretly praise him in his heart. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. Knowing that the housemaster was not in the house, he was so polite. In fact, he must be hiding a murderous intent. Compared to the few youths he had met before, they were many times stronger. At the very least, the silver-robed elder didn't think that he could make Wang Kai bow his head just by relying on the Li family's power and influence. Little did they know that from the silver-robed old man's point of view, just based on the various rumors about Wang Kai, he could guess that this kid was definitely a fearless person. If there was no strong suppression, who would be willing to provoke him? There's no need to call him. Just now in the Dan Immortal City, that bullshit Lord Injustice was acting cool in front of Ben Xiao. Ben Xiao conveniently, cough cough, conveniently kicked him into the sky. He probably felt his death long ago, right? Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile. He wanted to see how much patience this old man had. The silver-robed elder's pupils suddenly shrank when he heard this. A light flashed in his eyes, but he was still smiling as he gestured with his hand. I see. Holy Sun Wang is right. That Lord Injustice was just an accompanying guard of mine. He actually dared to disturb Holy Sun Wang's presence. He deserved to die. Please, let's talk inside the hall. Such a respectful attitude really made the dozens of Saint Realm cultivators who came along with him speechless. They all sighed in their hearts, thinking that with Wang Kai's current power, without the presence of an immortal martial artist, it would be difficult to suppress him. Li Beitong, do you still recognize us as brother and sister? Suddenly, Lin Hantian's expression was full of murderous intent as he stared at the silver-robed elder. Lin Hanyue, who was beside him, also gritted her teeth. The hatred in her beautiful eyes was extremely strong. Seeing this, Wang Kai's footsteps paused. With one hand behind his back, he raised the other hand and pointed at the silver-robed elder. He looked at the Lin siblings and asked in surprise, Li Beitong, elder of the Li family? Was he the one who annihilated the entire Lin family? It was this evil man. Even if he had turned to ashes, Han Yue would still recognize him. Lin Han Yue gritted her teeth and shouted coldly. Whoosh! The silver-robed elder, Li Beitong, looked at the Lin siblings with a slightly puzzled look. After carefully sizing them up, his pupils suddenly shrank and his face turned ugly as he scolded. So it was you, bang! Crack! However, before Li Beitong could finish his words, Wang Kai raised his hand and slapped him hard on the back of the head. Immediately, the slap sent him flying into the ground. The white jade slabs on the ground exploded and cracked, spreading out for dozens of meters. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. If that's the case, then just kill him. You siblings can do whatever you want with him. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and lifted his foot rather casually, kicking Li Beitong, who had been slapped to the point of delirium, towards the feet of the Lin siblings. Whoosh! The dozens of Saint Stage cultivators saw this, and their hearts jumped violently. They sucked in a deep breath of cold air. Today, they finally saw for themselves why Wang Kai was so ruthless that not even a blade of grass would grow in his path. Such swift and decisive means, completely disregarding the Li family's reputation. Even elderly Beitong, who had greeted him with a smile, was mercilessly suppressed by him with a flip of his hand. This man's temperament was truly ruthless and cold to the extreme. Li Beitong, give me your life. Whoosh! Whoosh! Lin Hantian scolded harshly, his face full of rage as he pulled out a long sword and viciously stabbed it into Li Beitong's heart. Immediately, Lin Hanyue also pulled out a dagger from her waist. Gritting her teeth, her beautiful eyes were filled with hatred as she repeatedly stabbed Li Beitong's chest. You bang! Li Beitong painfully regained some of his consciousness, but before he could gasp for breath, his eyes rolled back and he fell to the ground, dead on the spot. Hanyue, that's enough. He's dead. Stop. Lin Hantian panted heavily. The feeling of revenge made him extremely happy. Seeing that Lin Hanyue's beautiful eyes were still red as she stabbed Li Beitong's body, he quickly stepped forward and pulled her back. Big brother. He deserved to die. He was the one who found out about the Lin family ruins, and he was the one who brought people to destroy the Lin family. We can't leave his body intact. Lin Hanyue's beautiful eyes were filled with tears, but her eyes were extremely vicious and filled with murderous intent. Such a crazy Lin Hanyue made the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitch slightly. Was this still the shy Lin Hanyue from before? Hatred could drive people crazy. This saying was not false at all. Then let's destroy the corpse and destroy the evidence. Whoosh! Bam! Rumble! Lung Feng unsheathed his long sword and swung it. A green sword aura shot out and directly shredded Li Beitong's corpse into pieces. Even the ground was hacked open, creating a deep pit. Lung Feng did not have any good feelings towards the Li family. Haha, Bin Xiao really looks down on the Li family. There are obviously many immortal martial artists in the mansion. Why haven't they come out? Do you really want Bin Xiao to meet you personally? Why don't you quickly come out and greet Bin Xiao? Wang Kai put his hands behind his back and said with a calm smile. Chapter 339. Direct disciple of the Scarlet Refining Sect. How audacious. Even if the holy son of the Scarlet Refining Sect came, it would be difficult for him to survive today. The 13th elder snorted coldly with an ashen face. Immediately, his palm turned into a claw and fiercely clawed at Bai He. "Hand over your life." Swoosh! Bai He's heart violently jumped when he saw this. He was only at the Emperor's stage. How could he defeat an immortal King stage elder? Not to mention being unable to block it. Even dodging it was absolutely impossible. In a moment of desperation, Bai He could only shout loudly, "Brother Wang, save me. Don't play with me like this." Bang! Suddenly, Wang Kai casually waved his hand and completely disintegrated the 13th Elder's attack. It seemed like a simple wave, but the force was extremely terrifying. It forced the 13th Elder to retreat dozens of steps before he could stop himself. It's just a joke. This Bai He had come with Ben Shao. Yes, he was also the one who led the way to the Li clan. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly as he said with a playful smile, "Swoosh!" As soon as these words were spoken, it immediately caused Bai He to smile bitterly. After all this time, this was Wang Kai's true goal. Did he want to completely tie him to his ship? Looking at the 13th Elder again, his face was currently green and white. It could be seen that the attack just now had caused him to be slightly injured. However, his killing intent towards Bai He had deepened. Seeing this scene, Bai He could only sigh regretfully in his heart. How good would it be if I didn't find Wang Kai to refine the 9 Revolutions soul return pill back then? Now that Miss Gu has left for some reason, Wang Kai has already pushed me into the abyss in order to find out about the ruins. Sigh. Haha. Direct disciple of the Scarlet Refining Sect, Bai He. Could it be the Weapon Regions Bai clan? Speaking of which, Mali clan has some ties with the Bai clan. The 13th Elder calmed his surging blood. While he was shocked by Wang Kai's strength, he was even more furious towards Bai He. The Bai family was merely a second-rate force in the Weapon District, yet they actually dared to bring a scourge like Wang Kai to the Li family, and even dared to threaten to rob them. Where did such courage come from? Wang Kai was the holy son of Treasure Trove Pavilion. Even if he didn't have this status, his innate nature was that of someone who feared nothing. He didn't have any misgivings. But how could White River not be worried about how the Li family would deal with the Bai family? In 13th Elder's view, White River was undoubtedly courting death. Bai He became even more bitter when he saw this. He secretly thought that the enmity between him and the Li family had been formed. It was impossible for the Bai family's crafting shop to gain a foothold in the pill domain without the Li family's permission. Now it seemed that it was over. The only thing I could do now is to stay by Wang Kai's side. Without him, not only will I die soon, even the Bai family will be implicated. Brother Wang, oh Brother Wang, you are really hateful. Bai He secretly sighed in his heart. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. His expression was rather playful as he looked at the 13th Elder and Bai He. Seeing that he had achieved his goal, he pulled Jing Xian's lily-white hand and said with a faint smile, "Quickly take out all the treasures. Yes, don't take out the low-grade ones and ask for trouble. If there are too few treasures, don't blame this young master for burning down your Li clan in a fit of dissatisfaction. Yes, yes, Holy Son Wang, don't worry. This time, the Li family will certainly give you a great fortune." 13th Elder suppressed his anger and said with a smile on his face. Then, 13th Elder respectfully led the way. Wang Kai and Jing Xian looked at each other and smiled slightly as they followed behind. "Papa!" Niuzha Tian snorted and glared at Wang Kai. He said in a muffled voice, "Little Wang, try to get as many celestial-grade alchemy materials as possible. I have a lot of ancient celestial-grade alchemy recipes. I guarantee you won't be able to refine them all." Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He slightly nodded and didn't say anything. The Li family's celestial emperor ancestor wasn't here. How could he return empty-handed? Inside the Li family mansion, Wang Kai and Jing Xian were sitting on either side of the main seats. Niuzha Tian had broken the table on the left and was lying on the ground. After Lung Feng, Qin Run, and the rest sat down, the 13th Elder could only force a smile as he lifted his hand and patted. His tone was somewhat unnatural as he said, "Men, bring the 3 treasures over." However, before anyone outside could respond, Wang Kai looked at him with an unfriendly gaze. His expression was rather playful as he laughed. How many? Bin Shao didn't hear you clearly. Can you say that again? 13th Elder's face stiffened when he heard Wang Kai's words. Anger burned in his heart, but when he thought about the Grand Elder's warning, he could only grit his teeth and endure it. Holy Sun Wang, please don't be impatient. These 3 treasures are not ordinary items. Once Holy Sun Wang accepts them, if there are other items that you are looking for, the Leaf family will naturally not neglect you. The 13th Elder said with a smile. These words caused Wang Kai's expression to soften a little as he faintly smiled and said, "You're not bad. Seeing that you're so sensible, this young master will take a little less later." Take less. 13th Elder became even more furious. Then 3 beautiful women walked in from outside the hall, each carrying a jade plate. 13th Elder respectfully introduced the items. Of these 3 treasures, the first one is, why go through so much trouble? Just open them all. Bin Shao is the master of the immortal martial domain. Why would he waste time on you? Wang Kai smiled indifferently. With a wave of his hand, the golden gauze on the jade plates was blown away. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Buzz. On each of the 3 jade plates, there was a small and exquisite object. The first item was a pill cauldron that was only the size of a palm. The second item was a set of 3 black bottles. The third item was a spatial ring. Holy Sun Wang, please take a look. This cauldron is called the Earth Pill Cauldron. If you use it to refine pills, even a fledgling alchemist will have a 30% chance of refining an Earth-grade pill. Before 13th Elder could finish his words, Wang Kai waved his hand in disdain and said, "Only a mere 30% chance of refining an Earth-grade pill? Are you trying to make fun of Bin Shao? Don't you know that Bin Shao has the dustless fire and can refine a heaven-grade pill?" Next. Buzz. Crack. Suddenly, with a sweep of Wang Kai's hand, the pill cauldron was forcefully shattered into pieces, frightening the servant girl who was holding the jade plate. She cried out in alarm and fell to the ground, her pretty face deathly pale. "You can leave now." A cold glint flashed across the 13th Elder's eyes. He waited for the lady to leave with the jade plate in a panic. Only then did he point to the second jade plate and said, "Holy Sun Wang, this bottle stores 3 ethereal flames that have been condensed. Each ethereal flame requires the ordinary flames of 1,000 people to gather together before it can be condensed. Within these 3 bottles, each bottle contains 10,000 people's ethereal flames." Bastard. Simply a bastard. Suddenly, before Wang Kai could speak, Bai could no longer sit still. He stood up with an ashen face and quickly walked to the jade plates. With a flip of his hand, he smashed the 3 bottles onto the ground. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.